afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you guys are tuning in from around the world, and hopefully you're all keeping well despite the big elephant in the room and the loss in the FA Cup on Friday night, which I'm still very, very sour about. However, we'll get on to Jacko. Hopefully he's a bit more chirpier than me today. Jacko, how are you keeping, sir?
Yeah, I saw your loan wrap up, Dave, and I kind of heard your initial thoughts, and I can't agree. I do agree with what sort of your thoughts are. Just sort of being still a little bit let down, sort of the thoughts of another trophyless season. It's just something that's never easy, I think, with Spurs fans. But I sort of had a lot of copium that needed to be worked into me, ahead of this because I sort of had a sneaky feeling that this was going to be the game that Man City finally just sort of got over the line and did it against us. But I also just thought that the miracle was still in us, that we always have performed miracles against them, that maybe I'd be proven wrong. The Antonio NUSA sort of collapse of a deal certainly then sort of exacerbated kind of the feelings of the Spurs fan base and sort of the tensions around it and all that stuff. So I've had to work really hard on kind of my copiumness right now. And in order to maintain some sort of level balance of happy clapping. Of course, happy clapping is not balanced at all. But yeah, Dave, I've had to work especially hard over this weekend to somehow keep my Spurs sanity. So with your kind of lone wrap up with what you had to say about the Man City game and everything, I don't blame you for feeling let down, feeling a bit sort of just, yeah, like a punch in the gut really towards, this season. And it was a huge game. I sort of labeled it as one of the biggest games of the season, and it didn't go the way that we wanted to, that's for sure, in a lot of ways.
I just feel let down by everyone. I'm not gonna lie, it's just one of them where everything sort of went wrong. I feel let down by everyone. I feel let down by the likes of Kulu and Bentancur, who, you're hoping, they've been around long enough now to be able to be the ones to step up in that game if other players are missing. Failed to really do that on the night. I feel let down by the club. I had my concerns around the Werner deal. One thing I always said is, financially, no risk at all. Ambition wise, and where how it dictates the rest of your season. Come the end of the season, that's where you take the hit. We're already out of the FA Cup, so we've already took the hit on one of the competitions in that. Because let's be honest, although Werner tried and was probably one of the better forwards on the night, he didn't do a whole lot, and that was my whole sort of concern around the signing in the first place. So I just feel let, and then I feel let down by Ange Postecoglou, and this is probably the only criticism you'll ever hear me make of him. But why didn't he change it when it clearly wasn't working up front? Why doesn't Gill come off the bench? Why don't you give him 15, 20 minutes to see what he can do? Brennan Johnson was lazy out of possession and done absolutely nothing in possession. At least what you'll get with Brian Hill, at least he'll work like a dog, even if he's not having the best of games, just like Richarlison. So I feel let down by Ange Postecoglou a bit because I've seen Scarlett on the pitch at the end of the game, in there ahead of Gill. I just don't understand it. And then Pedro Porro and Romero at the end, you've got 4 minutes left on the clock. Go and fucking try and make something happen. Yeah. And they're there screaming and shouting at Doku and committing fouls in the corner. I mean, I'll be honest, it's just it's like the biggest nights for Tottenham Hotspur always capitulate in that sort of manner. I know some will be looking at it going, look, we went to toe to toe with the best team in the world, but the reality is that's a Man City game that concede. That's a Man City team that have conceded goals all season long, and we got one shot, nowhere near good enough in that regard. Anyway,
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. All those are correct. Once again, Dave, I'm sorry to not, disagree with you here, but I think all of that is correct. And
look,
we're just going to look to cope and look to speak to the people in a big week ahead. Yeah, which you're about to say.
We have to move on at the end of the day. As much as I'm dwelling on it, I suppose we don't have much time. We're playing Wednesday night. We've got deadline day Thursday. But Jack, just quickly, are we going to download the app Wednesday night and get involved in the light show from home?
I saw that everybody also got incensed about that as well. And I thought maybe that was taking it a bit far because this was what immediately popped in my head. Like some Spurs fans seem to think it's really dumb, really stupid, and sort of just like an extra blow or whatever it is, another reason to get angry. This is what came to my head, Dave. Curious what you think. Is it that more dumb than seeing grown men blowing bubbles ahead of every single home game? Like, I don't think it is. I'd rather bring out my smartphone, do a little bit of a rock and roll kind of waving of the flashlight or whatever it is that, is through the app than having to be forced to blow a bubble before every single game. Like, that's just how I see it. So if West Ham can get away with blowing bubbles before every match and literally have songs about blowing bubbles before every match, I feel like it's not that embarrassing to be doing a light show of some kind. And it's just another way for Spurs to try to, I guess, engage the fans, get a bit of atmosphere beforehand. They did the same thing with the trumpet and with the drum, which I think was clever and what was needed. And also, for a while now, I think Spurs fans are saying that they needed to do something to improve the atmosphere, get people going a bit more every now and again, so that not certain games were really pumped and then the other ones are a little dead. They wanted it to be a bit more consistent. So maybe this is a way to do it. Not saying it's going to be successful in that regard, but I think the theory is correct. And like, we want to try to develop an atmosphere for games that maybe wouldn't automatically have the best sort of atmosphere. So is it that much better than blowing bubbles? I think it is. And that's where I'm going to stick with it. So I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. And I'm excited to see how it goes, I guess. Yes, I will be downloading it.
Look, personally, I will be one of them partaking at home if it works from my own seat. I'm a loser like that. I'm a pathetic football fan. Anything my club can throw at me in that regard, especially when it's free, I'm all over it. However, there hasn't been enough news today, so I have way too much time to think into this. Now, I put something up on Twitter just to gauge the reaction, and it's pretty 50-50. Personally, I don't understand the outrage about it. It's not like the transfer committee are the ones that sat there taking time out of the transfers, coming up with this idea and doing that instead of doing transfers. They have people for different departments, so that's an initiative coming from within the club. Now, I actually think personally, the idea behind it is right. Get the vans involved before the game. Because me personally, Jack, we've been there as well. You turn up to games, the seats don't really start filling up till about sort of a few minutes just before kickoff. And there's still people coming in at kickoff. What we need, and personally what I would love to see, is to turn that into an absolute theatre. Have the fans in there before the games. Now, look, is the light up? Is shining a torch on your phone going to be the thing that's going to get everybody revved up? I don't think so. I think it'll make you feel like you're a part of something, all right? But I do like the idea around it. Me personally, I know it might be an unpopular opinion, but you listen to that Arsenal song, North London Forever, before they play it. I would love something like that before the game. A rendition of something like that. Something that probably invokes a little bit of tribalism because it's your own turf. Invokes a little bit of emotion just before the game. I'd absolutely love something like that. I think there are other ways to go around it. Roll out James Black or Tim from Spurs Song Sheet. Get them out there. They get me pumped up with their music before the games and stuff like that. So there's other ways that you can sort of do it. Now, Ribsy did put in a very interesting comment earlier on my Twitter channel. But like I said, because I had nothing to do, it sort of sent my thoughts spiraling. Ribsy was like, it's a great sort of gimmick to get everyone to download the Spurs app, which, it's genius in that regard. Now, are they doing that because potentially there's a deadline day signing coming in that they want to alert everybody of, and that they know there's something coming up that everyone's going to want to use the app and stuff like that? Let's wait and see. Maybe that's just a conspiracy mind of mine sort of rambling or, thinking off into different layers or whatever it is, because I've had nothing else to trigger my thoughts today. But interestingly enough, I actually am going to partake. Like I said, I'm a Fetics football fan. Call me whatever you want. I do not give two toss, because at the end of the day, it's not going to affect me sitting there when I'm smiling with my torch. And then the last bit, sort of just quickly, Valise, of course, returning to training. Good plus there, back on the field. And then the one and only Zinedine Salzburg looks like he's staying now. What we're not going to do is get Jack to blow his powder right now, because I'm sure a lot of people are going to have some says on it. Probably me out there if she's coming in at some point. So we'll keep Jack's powder dry so that he can push back and share his thoughts as the conversations go along on that. And then, of course, the big elephant in the room, missing out on NUSA. But look, Jack, that's all I've got to say. Anything else before I welcome people in?
No, very good idea, actually, to not let me go into a 30-minute Hojbjerg rant straight away. We probably got to be efficient. And like we had last time, plenty of people already lined up in the queue, everybody. So if you want to come in, reserve your spot nice and early, I'd advise you to do so, because we already got a nice and healthy queue of some wonderful regulars for this call-in show. And I look forward to speaking with them, Dave. Let's get started.
Yeah, let's get started. We've got a full back end, so we're going to be very, very efficient today, your boys are, especially because I got some editing to do because I can't speak properly. So I have to get that done this evening as well. But we'll start off with, and that's just me getting frustrated at myself because it's
Need
really
auto
bugging
tune.
me. Big up Adrian Straka, good to see you. He says Spurs scouts have watched Ecuadorian William Paco or Pacho, whatever way you want to pronounce it, from Eintracht Frankfurt a few times and like what they see. Paco, Pacho, whatever way you like, is a 22-year-old, 6'1", left-footed centre back. So forget Lloyd Kelly. Do you know what? For me, I don't think we need to be looking at that area. I think you've got Darrington there, Phillips out on loan. He can come back. He can play there. You don't necessarily need a left footer to play the left side of the fence. I grew up where traditionally right footers played that role and without any problems whatsoever. Me personally, I'm not so focused, Adrian, on the defensive news because I don't see us signing much more there, to be brutally honest. Potentially a left back. But outside of that, I think we're pretty much done in that area. For me, I'm on that forward line. I made a point earlier on. We've had defensive managers over the last few years with the worst defense in our history, but the best attack line, probably, that compares up there with the greatest we've ever had. And now we've got the best attacking manager with the best defense in the league, but one of the worst attack lines. So, it's sort of flipped its script and it's boiling my blood a little, I won't lie. But anyway, Georgia here, evening lads. Hope you're keeping well after the disappointing weekend. Not too bothered about NUSA after seeing defeat Brentford. Are paying for him. They'd ask even more from us. We are going. Come on, you Spurs. We'll get people's thoughts on that, Georgie. James Spurs says, evening lads. Big up, James boy. Hopefully you're keeping well. Washgal, great to see you as always. Come on, you Spurs. Dermatron with the super sticker, Jacko. Well, yes. We got Ramoyos, we got the Tron, the robot. What have we got?
Yeah, let's see what we have. Maybe it's instead of the spinning chair, Dave, it's sort of like a bit of a Formula One, kind of version of the chair, I think, from the Tron here. He's kind of rounding corners, bit of drifting you can see there as well. You see the skid marks, that are going, the sparks are flying. So Dermatron, perhaps he's just looking to get away from that Man City game as quickly as possible. He's rotating his chair out of there, but also maybe in a bit of a Formula One mind. He's grinding everywhere. He's drifting everywhere. Good to see.
I do feel like Dermot should be at that, because he does like a bit of the Formula One more than a lot of most people do. So I do feel like he probably should be there. That's just him getting ready, Jack, preempting it. Big up, though, Tron. Really appreciate the support, my man. He could be one of the Mario brothers at that point. We also have Shawnee Maddox doing well, hoping to see one more incoming this month. I'd absolutely love it, Shawnee. However, I think with the Hojbjerg news, I'm not sure what's going to happen now, my man. Big up, Derek Hutchinson. Great to see you, a regular gamer. Good to see you, my man. Hopefully you're keeping well. Dingo Yid, look, gents, very disappointed, but let's go for top four. That would not be a bad first season for Ange. No, you're absolutely spot on. It really wouldn't be in hindsight, my man. Absolutely spot on. George Cardaras says forwards have no hope. The way the midfield played. I'll be brutally honest. I actually don't really blame the midfield for that game. Look, Kulu could have been 10 times better. I agree with you. I thought Bentancur, for me, I just thought nobody is on his level. In them games, you need someone to be able to play quick 1-2s, pass and move. No one could do that. And I'll be honest, I think people are over-exaggerating Hojbjerg's performance. I think he played well up until 82 minutes. And then he had that 6-minute spell where he was a bit rocky. But apart from that, I actually thought generally he had a good game. For me, I just thought the forward sort of went without a whimper. At the end of the day, you have to be able to give them the ball and they have to be able to get you up the pitch, and they couldn't do it. They just could not do it. That's why we spent most of the time camped in our half. But look, I'm open for a discussion. So, George, if you feel like you want to come on and maybe express your point a bit more, let us know. Harmick, good to see you. Maybe he's not shown enough in training. Maybe. Big up Tottenham Tom. Great to see you as well. Hopefully you're keeping well. Foggy Foam says, good evening, Jack and Dave. Yeah, felt the boys put effort, but unfortunately, quality-wise, City are clear. Needed Sarr and Basuma in there to control. Sarr's a huge miss. I think it's 5 games now without Papamat Sarr this season. Haven't won in any 5 of them. So take what you will out of that stat. Big up DB as well. Great to see you in the building. Hopefully you're keeping well, sir. And Paddy Harnett, good to see you, my man. My man from Limerick says some Spurs fans are as thick as shit and just moan at everything. It's boring. The club are trying something new. It works, then fine. If not, we move on. Look, you know me. I don't need an excuse to pull out the club for where I think they've gone wrong and stuff like that. But I'm not going to use someone organising a light show, to sort of beat the club
Yeah.
with. I think it just looks ridiculous, to be honest with you. But look, I don't sit in that camp where I feel hurt for the last 20 years and stuff like that. I feel hurt for some things where they went wrong. But look, each to their own. I'm not going to tell people how to start supporting the club like way they shouldn't tell me how
Yeah.
to start supporting
Well
the
said.
club. Paddy Harnett, big up Mick Hermanok as well. Great to see you, sir. DB says, I love the light show, but I always like the points that filled up from the bottom. Sucker I am. Yeah, look, it was a cool gadget. I'm not going to lie. Look, personally, I haven't been able to experience one of them. Jack, you have because you drink. I mean, the points that fill up from the bottom, did it taste any different?
I had it once, and I remember I made the grave mistake of like going to the restroom and then grabbing, one of the fill up beers afterwards. And then I then missed like 3 minutes of the second half straight away because I was just like finding myself probably more like chugging it down than really enjoying it. So I could say like, yeah, it was a cool experience. I think also as well, like it sort of saves, kind of, I think it's good for the environment or something about it as well. Like you don't have as much waste, from the beer, and like you're not pouring as much down the drains, all that stuff. It doesn't taste any better, Dave. No, I would say that it doesn't taste any better, but it is cool to see.
It is cool to see, to be fair. It is cool to see. Joe says, we sing, oh, when the Spurs pregame. Look, I get it. I do get it. But I'll be honest. So for someone like me, that's a bit of sort of caught between the old generation and the new generation. I do need something a bit more upbeat to get me going, When the Spurs is great when you're winning cups, but when you're not winning cups, you need something a little bit different to sort of, get your juices flowing and stuff like that. I'm not knocking it. It's served us very, very well down the years. But I would just like different options, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, my man. Big yourself up, Joe, or woman. Sorry, my apologies. Sorry about that, Joe. Gary, good to see you. First time they've tried this with the interactive phone thing. Yeah, look, me personally, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy it. Dino Dinosaur Jack, do you think Tony could be involved in the NUSA outcome?
I tried to text you back in the chat there, Dino or Dino, and I personally think they probably didn't give him any inkling of any kind so that he couldn't place any cheeky bets on it so that they could keep him actually in the team for now. So I'm assuming that they kept Ivan Toney in the dark when it came to that Antonio NUSA deal so that he couldn't put any cheeky bets in on where his destination might be. But that's all I can say on it. And I think we'll discuss the Antonio NUSA thing, I imagine, with one of the fans in just a moment there. I do have some thoughts on it, Dino. Good to see you in the house, man.
Big up, Dino. Good to see you, my man. Dino, potato, potato. Let me know, though. We also have Talking Beer. Big up, fellas, on the move. So I'm just dropping a like. Do you know what? Really appreciate that. The commitment to the cause. If you can't tune in, because I do understand everyone has lives and they're not sitting there tied to watch the Irish Hotspur all day, every day, even though I'd love you to. So I do appreciate the commitment still coming in and dropping the like. Big up my new arch nemesis, King Huddle. Good to see you. He says, good evening. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, Ivory Coast. Come on, Saudi Arabia. Come on, Burkina Faso. He's fed up and he wants the players back. Good to see you, King Huddle. Hopefully you're keeping well. Brad Matthews, he is first on, so we'll get to him in just a moment. Good to see you, though, as always. Keith Edwards, great to see you, my man. Don't worry, lads. We will challenge all around next year. Believe in Ange. Look, one thing is, I'm never going to lose my faith in Ange. I know what Ange can bring to this football club if we continue to do things the right way. But what I will say is I get everything's rosy, but in order for me to have my perfect situation, there's still things that need to be sorted out, and I will continue to campaign for them for the betterment of this football club. But it does not mean I'm anti-Tottenham or anti-Ange or anything like that. So I'm not saying you're saying that is the case, Keith Edwards. I'm just putting it out there on record so people know, my man. Good to see you. Rick C, I know King Huddle, a lot of complaining going on for no reason. Good to see you, King Rick C. Just a harmless potato. Big up, boys. Great to see you. We'll give you a spud. Big up. Who else have we got here? Stephen Thomas bought two. Don't need any more this window. Well, look, that's a talking point for sure. I would argue probably would like another player in the forward area or at least one more maybe centre midfielder in here, but we'll put that to the panel. I'll keep that start. F and hell, good to see you. Jacob, have you got the Dragoson yet? That's the talk of the town right now, as Jacob got the Dragoson done. So we need to put pressure. Jacobs, he's got the lovely, long, luscious locks to be able to do it. So I want to see it done, Jacob. Big yourself up. Really nice guy as well, guys. So everyone, when you're bored of us, please get over and check out Jacob. We also have Scotty Hynam. Good to see you as well. Great to see you. And then we also have DJ Samuel says, come on, you Spurs member for 15 months. DJ Samuel, not the outcome we wanted at the weekend, my man. Not the outcome we wanted. However, let's go full throttle for the league. What have we got to lose right now? What have we got to lose? That's what I say.
I see DJ as well, Dave. He likes a cheeky bet every now and again. So maybe DJ might as well throw, just £1, maybe on Spurs, getting high up there in that league table, because he was showing me as well, Spurs also lost, but some of DJ's bets fell through on the weekend as well. So I felt bad for the guy. So let's hope you get a bounce back week.
I hope you do, DJ. And please don't be spending big money on the bets either. I don't like seeing anyone losing big money like that, but big yourself up. But I am partial to a bet. I do have a voucher sitting there that I still need to use. So if you've got anything you think I need to throw it on, let me know, DJ. Big yourself up, brother. And then DB says, no, Dave, in the stadium, the trumpeter really works 100 better than the Star Wars we used to play. It really works. No, I absolutely love the trumpet. I'm not one that goes mad about it. I actually embrace it. I love it. For me, if I had my way, I'd have the whole orchestra in there, conducting the fans before the games and stuff like that, my man. But I like the trumpet. Look, for me, I just think it sends out a message. You can be what you want to be. If you're good at the triangle, you might get a job. So, I think it sends out a good message. I also like the drum involved and stuff like that. Look, for me, I'm all for improving the atmosphere. I'd love it to be one big party when we're there. Now, obviously, that'll happen when we start winning regularly. But until then, we've got to try different things. Jacko, I know you're a fan of the trumpet.
I am a fan of the trumpet, and a quick sort of story, actually. I actually was forced to, in sort of middle school, be a part of like a middle school band for 1 year. And I actually pretended to know how to play the trumpet for a whole year in front of the rest of my classmates. There were only so many people that actually bothered to take the lessons, from the school teacher. And I was one of those guys, Dave, that was just sort of hitting random notes, just to pretend to, kind of, blend in some sort of regard. So I'm always impressed by anybody who can actually play the trumpet and not fake play the trumpet like I did that 1 year.
No, absolutely unbelievable. It's not an easy thing to do. You have to have a good set of lungs on you as well. Look, if I knew how to play the spoons, I probably would give it a go, to be honest with you, DB. And then we'll take this from Phil Coyes and we'll crack on. He says, big up, Dave and Jack, long time no speak. So disappointing to be out both cup competitions early, but we can still have a good second half of the season. First season under Ange, #believe. Come on, you Spurs. Look, absolutely spot on. Look, I think it's just disappointing, right? It's another year without the wait for a trophy, and it was a real opportunity for us to really go at Man City, try and knock them out, and then it really opened it up for us. But look, at the end of the day, I'm not one of these that sit here with defeatist attitude. You best believe, come Wednesday, I'll be slagging off Brentford, looking to try and beat them. So we just got to get ourselves back up for the league campaign, and hopefully we can have a very strong finish and send out a signal. Phil Coyes. So let's wait and see what happens. One thing I will say is the longer other teams stay in the cup and in Europe, the better it is for us now that we're in the league, because they'll have more games to play. And then hopefully, they'll drop points in the league and it can open up a little something for us. Phil, but big yourself up, my man. And great to see you in the building. Now, I suppose it's time to go on and speak to some guests. Well, it was time, but Washgal doesn't want us to do that just yet. Member for 23 months says, big up, lads. Keep up the great content. Spurs are a work in progress. Big Ange train to glory. When all the players are back, look out other teams. I completely agree with it. However, I just I'm starting to lose the patience for it to all happen, even though I know I need it. Do you know what I mean, Jacko?
Yeah, like I said, it's definitely a punch in the gut. And with a punch in the gut, it takes a while to get your breath back. And it's not like you're just going to bounce back straight away. I think it's going to take a while for Spurs fans to start to get that sort of momentum again, start to feel, confident in themselves again. And that's rightfully so, because being knocked out of both cups in sort of the manner that we were as well, it wasn't like we were knocked out in maybe a way that we could be proud of. I think the Fulham game, of course, wasn't one to be proud of. And this Man City one wasn't exactly a performance to be proud of either. So I could see why Spurs fans feel very upset by it, Welsh gal. But I believe in the big Ange. I think he is actually the right man for us to deliver glory sometime sooner rather than later. And he seems to have, while of course, delivering what people originally wanted, which was much better brand of football, much more aesthetically pleasing brand of football. He does have, I can tell, that sort of dying urge, that sort of willing urge to get trophies, to have success. He, of course, likes nice football, but he wants it to actually have something material that comes with it. And of course, that would be than a trophy than Welsh Gal. And I believe in the big Ange, and I know he's the right man for this club, and I know he's the right man behind this project. And once we get guys like Sar and Sonny back, we are a much, much better team. But we should still be playing better without those guys. We should have still played better without them. And I do agree with Dave on that one.
It just seems anytime there's a big night around Tottenham Hotspur, also it always sort of just collapses in on us. It's really, really frustrating. But one thing I will say is when you look at it the other day, we're not too far off, right? Another good summer transfer window, and we'll be bang up there next season challenging. I'm pretty convinced of that, Welsh Gal. Great to see you. And then also one last one I haven't seen in a while. Let's welcome him in. Neville, my man. We must keep reminding ourselves this is a build by Ange, the project. Don't get ahead of ourselves. Absolutely spot on, my man. Absolutely spot on. Look, I think Ange's done great work. You know, I think it's very reminiscent of what Klopp done when he first came in at Liverpool, getting the fans, the players, and everybody together, and then, you know, just sort of getting you to a certain point, and then do what Liverpool done when they brought in Alisson Van Dijk. Bam, go and get yourselves over the line. So hopefully we'll be at that point this summer, Neville. We've got a lot of the riffraff out, which I'm absolutely delighted about. As you can see, I don't look as red-faced anymore because they used to cause me blood pressure. But let's crack on. Let's get on the first guest, and it is the one and only Brad Matthews, the OG here every single week without fail. Love the commitment. Let's hear what you have to say. Brad, my man, how are you keeping?
Oh, you know, it's Monday, so I'm never in a good mood Monday until around about 5 o'clock when I sort of switch the computer off and switch the TV on, and then chat with you guys. So, yeah.
How are you coping, Brad? That's sort of the thing that's been on our mind right now with Dave and I. Like, do you feel sort of just let down? Like, not the performance you probably expected either, because we usually put off some of our best performances against Man City.
It was a weird game. I remember saying to the lady that sits next to me, this is a weird game. This is after about 70 or 80 minutes. It's a weird game. She said, yeah, it is. It just was really weird. I think what happened was the start was great. You talking about the trumpet player and all that sort of thing. So the atmosphere was real great. But then we just couldn't get out of our own half. You know? And I think that had an effect on the crowd. So by the time we're in the second half, where we did actually start to get a little bit of a foothold in the game, the crowd were just pretty dead, really. When I expected it was going to be fireworks the whole game. But, the performance was not good. But the defence played well. Defence played very well.
You mentioned there we couldn't get out of our own half. What do you put that down to? You know, you got people like me that blame the forward line, and then, you know, others out there would look further down the field, maybe midfield, some of the defenders and stuff like that. Why couldn't we get our own out of our own half?
Let's not underestimate how well Man City played and how well they pressed right from the start. But we didn't have creativity there at all, which is a bit of a worry that Maddison's the only player that can find those passes. And of course, he didn't come on until 75, 76 minutes. And then, you know, the guy's been out for 2 or 3 months. So you're not expecting him to suddenly come on and, you know, and be brilliant. He tried, but wasn't the Maddison we all know and love. I'm sure we will get that, you know, sooner than later. But we just, I think what Tottenham lack, and I think this is why we're going for a number 8. Right? We lack that. And we do, as interesting statistic you mentioned about with Papa Sarr, we haven't won a game. That's really interesting because he brings an awful lot of energy to that team. He really does. I mean, I don't want to bring up Arsenal players, but you're thinking of people like Vieira. You're thinking of people like the Man City guy. The big guy. Can't remember his name, but you know what I mean.
Alan.
No, he retired about a couple of seasons ago.
Oh, Company?
Yeah, not Company.
Torre.
That's it. Yeah. So you think of those sort of players, and that's what I think we need. And we miss. Sarr does actually, you know, sort of fulfill that sort of that role in a way that he's defending, he's attacking, he's carrying the ball, he's running around. But no, we just couldn't get. One shot that we had all game. You know, I mean, let's go back to when Ange first took over and how we're getting, you know, 60 or 70 shots per game or whatever it was, and yet we had one shot. And I think if you saw the Ange interviews, I think he was just as disappointed as we were. that we didn't. It wasn't the Tottenham that we expected to perform that night, especially after the fact that they've had their 10 days off. They should be back and refreshed. It was just a really, really weird performance. But then, as I said, we can't really underestimate how Man City played us, and I was disappointed. Of course I am. That's another cup run gone, early. In fact, I could actually say I've seen our cup run this season, both of them, the League Cup and this cup. I've been every game in the cup this season. And but I've seen us get knocked out in the last 4 years by Sheffield United, Middlesbrough, Everton, and Norwich. And I have to admit that I probably felt more pissed off when we've lost those 4 games than I did losing against Manchester City. Look, we're quite capable of beating Manchester City. Of course we are. But I just thought that, well, we've been bitten by a good side, and so even though you do feel flat and whatever, it wasn't as bad as how I felt when for instance, Sheffield United knocked us out. Because Sheffield United was there's a we've got to win this game. We've got Blackburn in the quarterfinals, if we'd have beaten Sheffield United. So when we lost that game, it was like, you've missed a golden opportunity. I think that the opportunity, we have missed an opportunity, obviously, but it wasn't there on a plate for us. If you get what I mean, it wasn't a match where we thought, I'm going to win this one sort of thing. It was a game that, well, we can win it. But yeah, so it's difficult.
Do you know what hurt me on that? Do you know what hurt me? Do you know what hurt me on that is Man City outworked us on the evening, and that should never be the case. We don't have them egos to be outworked by bigger teams like that. You outwork them teams, and that's how we've ended up getting results off Man City in the past. But you look at their attempt of pressing us compared to our attempt of pressing them. Absolutely night and day. They all went, picked up a player, allowed no out ball. We went in drips and drabs. No one was committing to it. And then defensively as well, they blocked up shot. They got players back and stuff like that. I just thought, we sort of struggled at times. Does that concern you that a team like Man City is outworking us, even though we should have more passion and desire to outwork them because we want to be where they are?
If it's a one-off, then no. If it becomes a regular thing, and if it becomes a regular thing in big games, then yes, I am concerned. But I'm hoping at the moment it's just a one-off. The good thing about Friday night was, to be fair, Man City, they had 18 shots, but I think Vicario only had 1 save to make. So, they didn't, it wasn't like they should have won 5 or 6-0, and I think the defence played really, really well, which I think could have been our Achilles heel before that game. And yet Van der Velde's come back like he's never been away. He was absolutely amazing. Romero was okay, but I think the defence generally played well. But you didn't have Porro and Udogie making those runs as much, but that's because they sort of penned us in, really. So, and there was a couple of times. I'm still in. The jury's still out on Timo and Brendan Johnson for me, but they were making the runs, but we weren't quick enough at getting that ball through to them. And I think this is the one thing I think that we're not quite doing with Angeball at the moment. How he wants it is playing forward quickly. I think we don't do that. I think 2 players I noticed that do stop is Romero's one. When he gets the ball, he just stops. And also, I think Hojbjerg, who had, as you said earlier, had a reasonably good game, he sort of stops as well. So we need those players that get, and Bentancur's good at this, getting the ball, swiveling around, getting it forward quickly. But even he was below par. And as you mentioned earlier, Kulusevski, it's just that the whole team was below par, really. It was just one of those. It's just disappointing that it's against Manchester City in the FA Cup. That if we win that, we're in a good position to go and win the trophy. And now, Luton, don't get me wrong, Luton away from home is who Man City have got. That will be pretty difficult. Pretty difficult game. But it's a game that you think, well, we should win that. So, yeah, it's disappointing. I just hope now. There's 2 really important things I think. One, this season, we need to make sure that we get in that. I know people don't like top 4 as a trophy. Of course, it's not a trophy. We need to get in that top 4 because I think in the summer, we've had this discussion last week about marquee signings. We need 2 match-changing players, big players. You look at Liverpool when they got Van Dijk and the keeper, Alisson. Well, we don't need a keeper. We don't need a centre-back at the moment, but we need 2 top players. And I think if you look at players like, if you go back through history, players like Vieira, Roy Keane, and then you go back to say Paul Gascoigne, Dave Mackay. These players in their pomp ran things for that team. They were the ones that took hold of the reins and they ran things. We haven't got that at the moment. Madison's good. Don't get me wrong. Madison's brilliant. Probably signing of the season. Absolutely brilliant. But I think we need someone else in there to do that. Maybe it might be players like Bentancur or Papassar might take those roles and become that player. But I think we do definitely need a couple of really top signings. Probably a striker, I think, because we certainly missed Sonny on Friday night. There's no getting over that. We definitely miss him. I mean, I don't. To be fair, I don't wish South Korea to get beaten, because I don't wish that on any player. But if they did, he's back early. But yeah, so we'll get him back at some stage, and then hopefully we'll have a bit more attacking sort of muscle. But yeah, I think we need those two really good sides. And if you're in the Champions League, I hate to say it. I hate saying it. I hate the fact that Champions League will attract players. At the moment, we're actually in a very good position, and the way Ange plays football is attracting players. Players are quite willing to come to play for Tottenham because of what they can see there. But it's players that have the young players that have got a load of years in front of them. We've got to try and attract the really ready-made players, I think, to complement the young team. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's great with this young team we've got, but we need those top players to complement them. And then next season, as I said, this is a free pass for Ange this season. But I think next season, I want to be challenging on all fronts, hopefully Champions League. But to be fair, even if we got into the Europa League, I mean, that's a good achievement in Ange's first year, definitely, which is what actually Pochettino got. I think he got fifth in his first season, although I think we got to the League Cup final in Pochettino's first year. So yeah, I'm going on a bit here. Another point that I heard on the weekend was that if you compare Ange's first 20 games to Klopp's first 20 games, Ange's got a better record. So I think the future is very bright at Tottenham, but we've got to back him. And I think so far he wanted a centre back, he wanted a left-sided midfielder or an attacking midfielder. We've got those, but we do need. I think we need to go in the market, and we've heard all the stories about all our income and that sort of thing. And all the other clubs that have got to sell players. So yeah, we've just got to make sure we take advantage of that in the summer and really go for it next season.
Big time. Lastly, Brad, just quickly, do you expect Tottenham to sign anyone between now and deadline day?
No one significant. I think that Tottenham always tend to bring in some player that no one's ever heard of on the last day just before deadline day. But it could be another. I mean, I don't think Danjuma was that bad, but it could be another Danjuma coming in on deadline day. So yeah, I think all this talk about Kimmich, which what a player. I would love to have Kimmich at Tottenham, but we've got 2 or 3 days to go. That ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. So yeah, I think I don't think we're going to sign anyone unless it's someone that no one's really heard of, being signed on loan, that sort of thing. I mean, that's possible, but I don't think we're going to make any big signings. Hope I'm wrong. Don't be right. I hope I'm wrong. But I think when we get our players back from injury and back from these tournaments, our squad's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's probably not strong enough to be winning titles, but I think to get a top 4 place, I think he's good enough, definitely. And then you'd be able to sort of. I wouldn't mind betting that Dragusin will start tomorrow on Wednesday against Brentford. Wouldn't mind betting that. Yeah, I don't know who's going to replace, whether it's going to be Romero or Van der Vaart, but I've got a feeling he might start because that's how you rotate and you get your players. You avoid the injuries through playing too much. And if he's as good as what we think he might be, then yeah, I think that might happen on Wednesday. And the other thing before signing off, we get 10 days, a 10-day break. Everyone, it's really, really brilliant. And then we play 3 games in a week, just over a week. So it's bizarre, absolutely bizarre.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That's probably smart, actually. The Dragusin probably will have to play sometime soon because fixture congestion is coming up here. And that's all part of signing a better quality center back so that we don't fear as much about somebody else coming in and feeling like points will be dropped.
It's good in the air, but isn't Tony good in the air, I think?
Yeah, he's very good in the air.
Yeah. So Dragoson's apparently good in the air as well.
Very good all round. Take free
Mm.
kicks, score
Yeah.
goals, good in the air, good hold up play, good
Move
link up
the
play.
ball.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
shithousery clearly as well. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we'll have to deal with that.
Good at betting. But anyway, Brad, tell people what they need to get over to the channel, my man.
Right. If you like a bit of music, I've got a music channel called Blue Sofa Songs. It's basically me writing, singing, playing all the instruments, recording them, making videos. It's all me basically. They're all songs about things that have happened, things that I believe in, a bit of politics in there, which you may or may not like. And there's other songs that are just sort of, up tempo sort of songs. It goes all the way back from me playing with a guitar in front of a camera phone to now using all the musical software and that. There's nothing coming out until the end of February, but I'm working on a song that will be an entry into the songwriting competition that I entered last year. So the song I'm working on now is going to be that entry. So I'm sort of hoping it's going to be a good song. But yeah, please go and have a look. Click like, subscribe, do all those wonderful things. Leave comments, notification bell, all that sort of stuff. Share. And it'd be absolutely brilliant. And thanks to these guys again for giving me the opportunity. It's always good. Look forward to seeing you both at some stage as well, as I said last week.
North London Derby.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. Oh my God, and it's gonna be nice weather then as well.
Make sure you're there, Brad. Make sure you're there, my man.
Oh yeah, I'll be there. And the great thing is we've got a Wednesday night game, and then I think all of our home games are on Saturday. Although some might be moved, obviously, if they're big fixtures, but yeah.
Nice, keep you out of trouble during the week anyway, Brad, won't it?
Yeah, I know. The trouble is, I have to leave early. I have to start work at 7 and finish at 3 on Wednesday this week. So,
well, look, it'll keep you out of trouble. That's the main thing. But Brad, as always, never easy to kick it off. Really appreciate you. You're here every single week to kick us off with great conversation and stuff.
Hello,
like that.
everybody
really
in the chat.
Set the tone. So, Brad, thank you very much this evening, my man.
Well done,
thank
sir.
you, and come on, you Spurs, believe in and celebrate everything.
Well done.
Let's go.
Have a better week, Brad. Hopefully we'll see you soon.
See you soon, my man. See you soon. And everybody, we will, of course, let Brad get us to know when that song is together and where we can vote for it. And I would love everybody to get behind them and smash your votes in on that for Brad. It'd be absolutely brilliant. We love to see Spurs fans succeed around here. But look, let's keep it moving. We've got a couple of chats and then we will get on the next guest. DJ Samuel says, I'm trying to get tickets for the Arsenal game, and I got a couple of bets for tomorrow, Dave. Tickets for the Arsenal game, I'm sure you might have a problem getting it. I don't know. Let's wait and see. Hopefully you do get one, because if you do, I'll see you there, my man. As for bets tomorrow, what have you got on? Please let me know in the chat, Let me know if there's any I need to put my voucher on.
Yeah, midweek Premier League games. It's not often we get games on Tuesdays and Wednesdays in this type of way, DJ. So best of luck to you tomorrow on the bets. Maybe in some sort of manner you get enough for return that maybe that, Arsenal ticket, sort of a situation gets a bit easier. You don't have to worry about the price of it. Don't have to worry about securing them in any sort of manner. But big up to you, DJ. Really appreciate the support. Best of luck on everything. And also, like I said to Brad, I hope you have a much better week this week than maybe a lot of Spurs fans did. And that'd be terrific to see you as well, be able to meet up with the big Dave. So hopefully you're all right, DJ. Big up, man.
Do you know what? I'd absolutely love that, DJ. So if you could get a ticket, please let me know and we'll definitely arrange a point. As I know, got it with a slice of lemon, but I'll grab you a point. You are there, my man. So please keep me updated on that, DJ Samuel. Big yourself up. This question starts, so do not worry. I'll throw that at the one and only Tron. Big up, KPV. Good to see you, and hopefully you're keeping well, my man. Do you know what, KPV? Controversial. We'll ask Dermot's thoughts on it. Personally, I don't think it was a foul. I think Vicario just needs to be stronger there, to be honest. But I'm not going to grate on him because he's been absolutely superb this season, to be brutally honest with you. So, yeah, people, let me know what your thoughts are on that. Just quickly, King Huddle, Dave, underdone hair transplant. You were at pains at point out that our attack was because of our defenders. We can't point to that now. Nope. 100%. And I said this a couple of weeks ago, and I've always maintained this. Go and get me 3 centre-halves that know how to defend, and I'll shut up about it. Since then, I have. However, one of the problems I tried to highlight in the summer that would happen this season about the sort of either, the lack of clinical nature in front of goal and creativity in front of goal That is coming to roost now. So now I have a new problem, which is the forward line. And until I get that to my sort of standard, and I don't think I'm unentitled or I'm entitled to say this, because my lifetime, I've always had great forward players at Spurs, whether it's out wide or whether it's up front. So I will be campaigning for us to go and get them sort of players in. So that's my new campaign, King Huddle. So if you want to get behind that, please let me know. I need to recruit members. Also, big up Shamu. Good to see you. That is embarrassing, my man. Good to see Iceman as well. I've seen this one going around. Tony has already said Tottenham to win 3-1. Lol. Yeah, what is it? You know, I'm over my gambling issues or something, and I can't wait to play Wednesday night where Tottenham are going to win 3-1 or something. I've seen it bounded about. It's absolutely brilliant in that regard. And then also Stephen, he says, if we had this defense when we had Kane and Son, we would be unstoppable. Again, that's not something I was saying. I said, you got a good defense behind them guys. They're good enough to go and win you things. And then, Phil, I'll also throw this point to a guest further down the line. Guys, if you do keep getting your comments in on all the things we're discussing, and if I see some great points in there, I'll start them and I'll throw them at the guest as we go along, so you guys can also get your questions in. Kev Williams says, roses are red, violets are blue, Liverpool are losing club, and Arsenal are too. Boo-hoo. Good things are heading Spurs' way. I promise you. Come on, you Spurs. Arsenal are shy. Look, they'll be found out sooner or later. You know, someone like Arteta and how intense he is, that can't go on for too much longer. We've seen having intense managers at Tottenham like Conte and Jose and stuff like that. Unless you continuously keep doing a good turnover of the squad, eventually it'll come back to bite you. So, yeah, it won't take long for the dressing room to get him out. So not worried about that. As far as Kellogg's Cocoa Clops, look, they're going to struggle. They will struggle. Liverpool will. You've seen the Arsenal had a problem rebuilding after Wenger. United had a problem after someone like Sir Alex Ferguson. And it's not just the managerial, but they dictate everything, you know, the transfer policy, everything, sort of recruitment and stuff like that. So they're going to struggle. However, what I will say is I think we're all right with Postecoglou right now, because Liverpool are a very emotional club. They'll probably bring back an Alonso or a Gerrard or someone like that. They'll probably bring Sami Hyypiä, see what he's at. But look, what I will say is if it doesn't work out a couple of years down the line, if they come calling and we haven't won anything by then, we could be in trouble. But look, at the end of the day, hopefully the finances ruin as every other club in football and we can go on and win some trophies, my man, because I'm dying for it, Kev. Jack, did you want to say it to him?
I just feel like Ange has already shown enough, you know, to most Spurs fans, you know, that he is a guy to get behind and that he clearly has a project in mind, and that we've already, I think, shown enough evidence that we're headed in the right direction under Ange Postecoglou. And if you were even to compare his sort of first 6-7 months to Mikel Arteta's first 6-7 months, even Jurgen Klopp's first 6-7 months, or even Pep Guardiola's 6-7 months, it's actually, I think, compares quite favorably, or at least you'd see a lot of similarities and sort of steps in the right direction, especially even compared to a guy like Lego Head over at Arsenal. I mean, that guy, it felt like, was really kind of, you know, all over the place when it came to his first few seasons. It was hard to really tell whether he was actually the right guy in charge for them. So I think Ange has already shown enough for me personally, Kev Williams. I'm fully behind him, and I think Spurs are headed in the right direction for sure. And I look forward to more Klopp tears, more Liverpool tears for the rest of the season.
Yeah, look, hopefully it's tears because they don't win anything and not tears of joy. But big up, Kev Williams. Great to see you back, my man. And how are you keeping? You know, it's been a long time, and that I know sort of been in and out, but it's a long time since I've asked you how you're keeping. So please let me know. Keep me updated on that, sir, and big yourself up, and really appreciate the support, along with DJ Samuel and Tron as well, along with Welsh Girl as well. Absolutely brilliant today. Really appreciate it, guys. But look, let's keep this moving because we don't want to keep keeping you guys here for 5 hours every Monday. So we're going to try and be a lot more efficient. So let's bring on the next guest and let's hear what he has to say. Tron, Romoyles, I actually don't know what to call you. Johnson's #1 fan, don't know what to call you anymore. So how are you keeping, my man?
If I'm going to be honest with you, not great. A little bit down. A bit down with life and football and everything. So yeah, I'm not my usual 100% full blown delusional, out of the skull person. I'm sort of a little bit retracted in a little bit. But look, it is what it is, and you get on with it. And each day's a new day. So yeah, you get on.
Sorry to hear that, Tron. And I hope, like I said to others, that maybe this week serves to be a better one for you. But in a way, we sort of have to dust ourselves down, pick ourselves back up again, because Brentford only on Wednesday, right? And that sort of means that Spurs just sort of have to, in a way, forget about it and focus on the league and how high we can finish there. So sort of how does Ange really pick these players up and sort of get them focused back on sort of the task at hand, which is the Premier League?
I think it's an easier job than what you probably think it is. I think the 10-day break didn't help us. I think you could add that into one of the why we didn't play as well as we did on Friday. I think the players will pick themselves up because I think they know that not getting into the next round has hurt the fan base. It's hurt I like that one, actually. That is the best one. I'm sorry. I'm a massive Transformers fan, have been since I was a kid. And Iceman, you've just made my year. So thank you so much for that.
No one else out there, please stop feeding his ego. Please, I beg you. But go on, Tron.
I love it. I'm sorry. That is like, wasn't feeling good kilometers. That's just put a massive smile on my face. So thank you so much for that, Iceman. I think the players can get themselves up for it. I think they have to. I think Ange will be asking, right, I need you to prove to me that you can put in a performance. And where they are in the league, with Maddison coming back, I think we will get a performance on Wednesday. I think the fans also have to take responsibility for not getting behind them on Friday too. And I don't know if it's a Friday night thing or because we were there for the AC Milan, Dave, and the fans were up for it, the players weren't. And I think everyone has to be behind. I think everyone was off that day. I think it was one of them games where the fans went quiet. The players weren't playing well. They were hoping for the fans to pick them up. The fans were hoping for the players to pick them up. And it was just one of those games where we didn't play badly. We didn't play badly, and we got caught out by one goal which should have been offside. It should have been ruled out for a foul. I understand where Dave's coming for this, but if you look at the Burnley Luton game, that was a foul on the goalkeeper. VAR ruled it as a goal. But you look at other games in the season where you've only had to touch the goalkeeper and they've given it as a foul. So for me, VAR is very inconsistent on this. It was just one of them days. Dave, I was 43 years supporting Tottenham. I've seen them. I have seen them. And as Brad said, at least we lost to Man City, not like a Sheffield United or a Middlesbrough. It hurts going out of an FA Cup, but I can accept it a little bit more than it would be if it was a Middlesbrough last season or Sheffield United under Conte. I think we have to look beyond this season to next season. But we're not out the championship race yet. I'm still delusional. I think we're going to win the league. I said at the start of the season we'll finish top 3, and I'm sticking by that. I think we will finish top 3.
Look, it's all we've got to focus on now. If you can get everyone back fit and keep them, I don't see any reason why we can't really sort of push on. But I do want this comment started, Dermo, so I want you to answer it here for Phil. He says, why was it we only had one shot on target and didn't get at City more in the attack and third? Defensively, we were sound majority of the game, but our front three are toothless at the minute. How do we resolve this issue?
Look, I think Man City didn't let us play. That was the first thing. Man City did not let. They are the World Club champions for a reason. They haven't won major. They probably bought a lot of championships, and a lot of their success through dodgy money and corruption, apparently. So I'm going on that sort of bloke. But they didn't let us play. Pep found a way of stopping us play, and Ange didn't have an answer to that. Either he didn't have an answer, or we didn't have the answers to the question with the players he's got. We were toothless up front. Brennan Johnson, Dave, you knew I was on here Friday, bigging him up, defending him, and I felt very let down by him. Hojbjerg, for me, had a great 80 minutes, and then suddenly, last 10 minutes, he went off the pot. Now, he ran everywhere on that pitch, so it was either tired or whatever. He went brain dead. Richie, for me, ran his legs off. You said it earlier to me, you felt sorry for him. I did too, in a way. I felt sorry for Hojbjerg as well, because he really put in the performance.
Let me just clarify why I felt sorry for Richarlison, because I think he came in for a lot of unfair criticism. Look, we know he's not Harry Kane, right? Harry Kane could hold up the ball, assist goals, create and score goals, right? Richarlison will score you goals, but you have to provide them. You don't provide a striker, who relies on service a chance.
Yeah.
What do you expect the guy to do? And then he just comes in for criticism, and then you see the clamour of protection for Brennan Johnson and Timo Werner. At the end of the day, they're brought in to create and they didn't do it. So I just feel like Richie's being hard done by in that regard. So that I just want to clarify that. That was all.
Look, I thought Brennan Johnson played badly on Friday. I don't think he played well at all. I'll be the first one to criticise him. I'm the first one to defend him, but I'm big enough and ugly enough to know, look, I hold my hands up. He didn't play well. But I thought Hojbjerg had a good game. And I thought the last 10 minutes distracted from the good game he did play. So, look, it's all about looking to next season. It's all about finishing this season well, finishing off with momentum. Let's finish off the season within the Champions League, go into the summer, get the players we need, get the players out we need, and start again from the 1st of July on pre-season and attack it from day one. When Bill Nick came in his first season, took him 2 seasons to get the championship side going. And you look at it, you look at this right from a Tottenham point of view. He went on to do the double, so it can be done. It can be done, and I look, it can be done.
Well,
and I think it will. I think it will done because I think Ange is. We look what he done at Celtic. We know what he can do if given the right tools. He will be given the right tools. And I think if you end this season on momentum and positively, then that kicks into your summer. You have a good summer window. Yeah, I know me. I'm not defending that. Look, I'm not running away and saying I'm not a Hojbjerg fan anymore. I'm going to stick with my Hojbjerg till he goes.
Yeah, Don't take the bite there, man. Don't take the bite, man.
That's okay.
Mia will give her thoughts on Hojbjerg, I imagine. She'll give her thoughts on Hojbjerg, I'm for sure.
I'm just going to sit back and watch you and Mia go back and forth on that one, Jacko. But Dermo, I do want to ask you, my man, transfer window coming up Thursday, deadline day. Are you expecting anything to happen?
Well, I've got a bit of news that will give you. Look, I have put it in the private chat. Tottenham could make a move for Bayern Munich midfielder Joshua Kimmich. The Colin Gallagher deal is now dead. That won't be happening. That was dependent on Hojbjerg moving out the club. Now, Hojbjerg was supposed to be going to Lyon. Lyon did come in with a request. Hojbjerg turned that down. So he will be here for the rest of the season. Now, the Gallagher's now probably moved to the summer, which I think we will get the deal done then. And then we are looking at the Bayern Munich players. So that could be something coming in. But I've been told don't expect any incomings, but expect outgoings. So that could be what's happening at Spurs, a few outgoings.
Look, I'd love a statement signing like someone like Joshua Kimmich. I'd absolutely love it. Because I
just add something? Sorry, Dave. The Gallagher deal was only today called off. They've been working on this the whole window. It's only because Chelsea wanted 80 million. Tottenham were not paying nothing more than 50 for him. So that's the only reason. They were trying to work it as a loan to buy. Get him in a loan in the summer and then buy him in this window and buy him. So that's why that deal's gone dead. But the Kimmich deal might happen. So keep an eye on that. That'd be worth keeping a close eye on.
Interesting. Look, I'd love one more signing in here deadline day. I really would. Look, let's wait and see what happens, my man. Let's wait and see what happens. But Dermo, where can people find you? What's coming up over there?
Yeah, you can find me over at THFC till I die with myself and Mr. Philip Brady, the holiday man, as I like to call him now.
He's always on holiday.
Yeah, well, I nicknamed him today Enzo Ferrari. He came in with the dark sunglasses sitting on the chair. So he looked a bit like Enzo. So I'm calling him Enzo from now on. Yeah, we've got Newsbeat every day at 4. We've got the transfer and deadline day on Thursday from 4 to 11 to the close of business. We've got the rugby back starting again on Friday with the Six Nations Championship. We've got France against Ireland. So that's coming back out where Philip knows everything about rugby. I know nothing about rugby. And that's going to be every time when there's to try how many scores is that. So that's going to be fun. And we've got Premier Saturday and we've got loads of other pre-match, post-match and watch-alongs as well. So a lot on the channel and we're working on for next season as well. So a lot of new stuff happening. We're trying to work in the background and make it a more bigger channel as we head to 2K. So we're not far off, 235 off 2K, I think, off the top of my head. So hopefully we'll get there soon.
Nice. Well, Dermo, keep pursuing the dream, my man, and it'll definitely happen. But everybody, please get over there and show the Tron some love. You know, whether we agree with him or not, we absolutely love his passion for Tottenham Hotspur. So get over there and smash that subscribe button. Tron, hopefully, you know, within that 10 minutes, we've made your day a little bit brighter, man.
I tell you one thing, I have feeling a bit better, to be fair. And also next Monday is a special day. Next Monday, it is a bank holiday here in Ireland. It is St. Dermatron Day. It's also my birthday, so we'll be coming on even more delusional than ever. And next on the 10th, I'm at the Brighton game, so I cannot wait.
Nice.
Where I've yet to see a score and win, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Nice.
I'm yet to work that out.
Nice. Well, look, I'll let you know as soon as I come up with my answer, whether it's a good or bad thing, and I'll be sure to let you know, Tron.
I'm sure you will.
Oh, you know I will. But look, Tron, great speaking to you. You always put a smile on our face and cheer us up. Thank you very much, sir, and we'll see you again very, very soon.
Yeah, I'll see you again I'll see you again very soon. Take care. Come on, you Spurs. Please.
They've made someone that nervous. They stumble to talk to me, my man. There's a first time for everything.
Yeah, you're just you're like I don't know what you are, Dave. You're like God. Jack's Moses and you're God. So there you go. The double twins. Yeah,
I wish. But look, Tron, we'll see you again very soon, my man. Have a good evening. Bye-bye. God, that's a very a big name, a big person to live up to. I'm definitely not that, although I'd love to, and I think I am in my own head. Big up Drew Silly, says I could date Margot Robbie, but it's unlikely. Kimmich is never happening.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, personally, I don't believe it's going to happen, and I have seen it banded about all day today. You know, it's not just Dermot making it up. I will say there is an opportunity for us to be able to make a big signing amount of wages we've cleared up and stuff like that, but I just don't see why maybe Dyer is unimpressed and he wants out. Maybe Dyer, we sent Dyer over there to turf him out to get him over here. We'll wait and see on that, though. I know Jack would go into meltdown, you know, if that happened. You'd have
I was a big fan of Joshua Kimmich. I was a big fan of Joshua Kimmich for a long time, but I think the only reason it's happening is because he's just hasn't had the best of seasons, and also him and Goretzka haven't exactly got along super well with Thomas Tuchel. So I think that's actually part of the reason. But as the Germans would say, Dave, when it comes to this rumor, I would say kind of chance.
No or chance. You could do it in the, speak English and do it in the German accent, like Dyer.
No chance. Maybe.
But look, we'll keep it moving. Who's on next?
We have Shawn Maddox, and I know he just came back from a meeting. Yes, he is. He's there. There he is. Bring him in here.
Oh, Shawn. So that's a nice jersey, my man. I still have to get myself one of them. I'm jealous.
Looking good.
Yeah, no, I hadn't gotten the away jersey for a while, so it felt like time. And again, I didn't have a Sun kit because I don't usually get names on the back of the kits as often. But this time I was like, no, I need that Sunny kit. So got this one, and then I got a retro kit that came in as well. So I'll have to maybe put on for the next show.
Nice. Make sure you do. You know me, I love a good retro jersey. Look, where do you want to start? You know, we haven't spoke about Hojbjerg, so we'll get into Hojbjerg. But what do you want to kick it off with, Shawnee?
I mean, Hojbjerg's not a bad topic because I really wanted to talk a little bit about my thoughts of where we were struggling in that game. Dave, I think you were.
Let's combine the both.
You were bad at the forward line. Again, I think it started a bit with the defense again. I think we didn't get that defense balance correctly. Although I will say Hojbjerg played a lot better defensively than he has for most of this season. But he wasn't providing enough on offense. Mm-hmm. So it felt like when we were kind of trying to make that transition happening, it was not going very smoothly. And so again, I thought we couldn't quite win that midfield battle. So essentially we weren't, because again, usually what happens is you win midfield and then you advance the ball and kind of everyone pushes up. And again, I think because we couldn't win from that midfield, we kind of had the forwards really detached from the rest of the team and unable to really do much. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Dave.
No, do you know what? I do hear what you're saying. I do think there was a bit of a breakdown in midfield, and that I'm not going to deny that. I just feel like in years gone by, we haven't had the best midfields or the best backline, but what we have had is Kane and Son being able to drag us up the field. And I was just waiting for that moment, with one of them forward players to sort of do that. And I just feel like, they couldn't. Ultimately, look, the problem we've got right now, Shawnee, is that every single one of them rely on service from behind them. They're not ones that you can give the ball to be able to create, to be able to sort of drag you out, or, up the pitch. They're guys that want to be played in behind and go in and tap the ball into more or less an empty net. So, look, it's probably a combination of both, to be brutally honest with you. But for the large periods, I do think the midfield was okay. I just felt like anytime it did go into the forward line, it was very quick on coming back.
No, I think that's fair. I think my concern is that midfield, and it's really more because of the system we're playing in with the Ange ball system. If you can't get those midfielders pushed up and the defenders pushed up, then you can't effectively run that press. And again, I think we didn't have the best off the ball work rate. But again, I think when everyone other than, again, Richie never stopped running. He's always kind of the workhorse up top. But again, I think with once kind of Johnson and Werner tried to press a few times and weren't getting that support from the midfield, it felt like their heads dropped and they weren't really putting in that same effort on the press. Because most of the time with that press, the ball is won by the midfielder when they force kind of the defender to go long. Yeah. So if the midfield doesn't push and the defense doesn't push up, they're kind of out of luck. And it felt kind of, so again, I think a lot of our problems started from that midfield not clicking, which again, I think we've seen a lot this season with these kind of makeshift midfields. And again, I think that's why that we keep getting linked to Gallagher, is because Ange is smart enough to know without Sarr and kind of that workhorse in midfield, things are not clicking. And again, I think that's because too many of our midfielders are selfish in terms of not putting in that full shift off the ball.
Do you know what? I absolutely, completely agree with you. It's been a bugbear of mine, and I sort of only mentioned it here or there. But we don't work nowhere near as hard as we did in the first 10 games out of possession. Nowhere near it, You look at the first 10 games, the forward line went, like you said, the midfield went, the fullbacks went. At one point, Adoji had the highest turnovers in the final third, more than any other player in the Premier League. He was doing it that much. But since then, the last 10 games, since all the injuries and stuff, when you're bringing in players who maybe aren't as mobile, aren't as technically gifted, it is having a massive effect. And I completely agree with you. Like I said earlier on, there's no way someone like Man City should be outworking us in terms of doing the dog work, getting after players, pressing people, and stuff like that. But they did. And personally, I don't like it. Jacko, your thoughts?
Makes me think of the Bielsa effect, but that seems like a very strong place to go from that, right? Wasn't that the point with Marcelo Bielsa at one stage? Was like there were games when they were just going to be absolutely full throttle and playing that very risky on the front foot style of play that could really overwhelm teams. But then when they didn't have like 100% effort behind it, and let's say certain players were a bit tired, not as enthusiastic in the press or sort of in the high tempo as others, you could start to see gaps and you could start to see holes more in that team than there used to be. And then all of a sudden they started losing 5, 6, kind of big score lines. And he kind of had to go, despite Bielsa being a brilliant manager. Like he sort of had to go for that reason, because it felt like the players had sort of just pooped out to a degree with just sort of the whole kind of, relentless style of play. Perhaps I don't think that's what I'm saying. It seems like a bold place to go, but you could say with sort of the long season and everything like that, certain players maybe do start to not be able to put in maybe the same enthusiasm or energy that they could have in the beginning of the season. I also feel like maybe part of it is more personnel. I think Sonny and Richarlison are actually probably our two hardest workers off the ball of that front three. And now that we don't have Sonny with Richarlison leading those sort of presses, it's been Werner and Johnson maybe aren't working nearly as hard as what Sonny would have or what Kulusevski would have on the right wing. Kulusevski, I think, works harder on the right than Brennan Johnson does. So it could be that just certain personnel as well as this stage of the season, we aren't working as hard, maybe off the ball. And then for some reason, we do get a bit dominated more. Do you feel like, though, Pep Guardiola maybe just outclassed kind of the tactics that maybe Ange had in the first kind of 45 minutes? Because he did expose, I think, some clear areas in our team, it felt like, Shawn, that, caused us problems with those Kyle Walker runs down the right, the way that they spread the pitch. Maybe he kind of saw something in Ange's system that Ange had to make a tweak about sort of in the second half.
I mean, I think that there's probably an argument for that, but I think that was only the first 30 minutes of the game. We were really kind of penned in and struggling in that same way where we looked really close to conceding. Again, it seemed the defense got a better idea of, oh, this is what's going on. Because in the later parts of the game, we didn't really look like, other than maybe a chance or two, in very desperate defending like we were in that first part of the game. So I think a lot of it was the work rate wasn't there. And I think that's why we're seeing this big clear out of players. I think Ange has determined, he's like, okay, these are the guys that are going to put in the work for me. These are the guys I want here. And I think that's why we're seeing a big exodus of players starting to be shifted on. Mm-hmm. And so again, I think that within this window and the summer, we'll really have kind of moved past some of those more selfish players who we're not seeing the shifts from on the ball. And again, part of that is definitely from the injuries letting us down, because there's some of those guys that were as selfless or aren't here. So it's kind of the backup guys who just aren't doing the same level of work off the ball. So again, I think that that's what we're seeing with these transfer windows. And again, I'm hoping that we can bring through another player, even maybe a young one or two for the future. But again, I think it's really about getting in more personnel, especially if we're going to try and compete in Europe next season. We need a deeper squad.
For some reason I can't hear you, Dave. You might be on mute.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was going to say, do you know what? I actually couldn't agree more. I've actually really enjoyed this conversation, especially about the work rate and stuff like that. It's been fascinating. But I actually agree with you. For me, I think, when we look at the squad from now on, we should be looking at it. We're going into 4 competitions. If we suffer injuries here, or here to our better players, do we have enough to be able to sustain that and keep going? That's the way we should be looking at it from now on. And for me, when I look at that squad, and we have evidence this season, we don't. There's been a massive drop-off in quality from what we were seeing at the first 10 games of the season. So I agree with you. I do think, we've got a bit more work, and maybe more than maybe what we originally thought we did. But Shawnee, do you see us sneaking in 1 or 2 before the end of the window closes, lad?
I think there's going to be at least one. Again, I have a hard time thinking that Don Paratici didn't have a backup plan or 2 on standby. I feel like the NUSA one's a little disappointing not to get across the line. But again, I think if the player's concern is playing time, then he wasn't the right fit for what we were looking for. And you can't blame him. Again, he's kind of more of, I want to focus on a move where he thinks he can play more. So it's defensible. Again, it's really just we need to find the right guys that are sold on the project and are there. Again, if Musa wasn't convinced, wasn't sure he wants to be here, then there are plenty of other young, exciting, talented potential players. And again, maybe we can look at him down the line if it's looking like he's going to be as prolific. Because that's part of the thing is with a lot of these 18-year-olds, only 1 in 10 kind of make that jump to superstar, where a lot of them end up not being the right horse to bet on. And we've had plenty of those at Spurs. So again, I think it's more of we're excited about a signing, but again, I think it's really about just making sure we're getting in the right guys with the right attitude and numbers. And again, if he's not there, then we can look at our youth team and try and see, okay, who's ready there. Again, they didn't send Donnelly anywhere, so I'm hoping that means he'll get some actual minutes with the first team. if we're going to kind of hold him hostage at the club.
Look, I would love to see the kid get some minutes personally. I think they might come maybe towards the end of the season, more so than now, but I do hope they come, same as Dorrington somewhere along the line. What I would say is, just quickly before we let you go, Shawnee, keep an eye on Tyrese Hall. Let me know what you think. For me, I think he could be our answer to Papa Matsar in a few years. You look at what he does great for the under-18s and the under-21s. Chasing that ball down in midfield, turning it over, and either putting it in the back of the net or providing it, laying it on for others to do the same. So, let's wait and see what happens. But Shawnee, great discussion, my man. Really appreciate your time this evening. Looking absolute dapper in the Tottenham away jersey. I'm jealous. I need to go and get one myself. But thank you very much for your time, and I suppose we'll let you get back to work.
Yeah, no, sounds good. Tiny bit more to finish up, but again, that's the beauty of working from home.
Get to wear a Spurs jersey while you work at home, which is nice.
Yeah.
You get to dress how you want. Nice collar as well. A good collar. I think that shirt has as well. Big ups. Almost called you Sonny because you got the Sonny kid on. Big up, Shawnee.
You made his day now, Jacko. You made his day. Big up, Shawnee.
Take care.
Have a good one.
See you soon, my man. Do you know, I really like Shawn. He's very well thought out. He already knows what he wants to discuss when he comes on and stuff like that. Absolutely love it. Really enjoyed that conversation. I'm beginning to think that me and Shawn sort of think alike, Jacko.
I think so. And Dave, you just like a tactical mind. And I think Shawnee happens to be one of those, good tactical mind indeed. Knows how to, like you say, maybe answer the questions that are already coming, pays attention. Good man, Shawnee. And also a huge regular, like so many people that we've already spoken to, Dermot, Tron, Brad. Shawn has definitely become, I would say, one of the furniture, one of the regulars of this show. So big up to Shawn. But Dave, you're doing an excellent job. It's been very efficient so far. I think people who probably usually wait very patiently, maybe also might be happy with that because they get to speak maybe sooner rather than later. So I think we have after that we have the Big T. So we're staying in America actually for our guest. So we're gonna go over to Tyler next.
Let's get him on. Big T, you there, my man? Tyler? Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Tyler.
Tyler, maybe he's still in the background, so maybe we might let's move
on. Who's next? And then we'll get Tyler after that.
Oh, sorry. That's right. It's actually my fault, Dave. I lied. It was supposed to be Daniel. It was actually supposed to be Daniel actually ahead of them. So Daniel, if you're around, Daniel Larson, Daddy Larson. Sorry about that. That was actually my fault.
Is he there? No,
Daddy
it's
Larson,
all
there
good, my man. It's all good. They're all great people anyway. That's all that matters. Daniel, how are you keeping, sir?
There we go. Now I got myself. Yes, hello.
Mr. Larson, how are we?
Sorry?
Good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you guys. I just had my headset off and turn on.
No worries. We haven't been able to talk about this yet. Norwegian Neymar, we missed out on him. Are you disappointed? Did you know much about him in the first place, being from Norway? So what are your thoughts on us missing out on the guy?
Well, I've been a big fan. I said it on the group chat long ago when he made his debut for Norway. I said, this guy is the next big thing. I mean, I think he's the next Mbappe, in my opinion. I mean, he's got some, but he's similar to Mbappe, in my opinion.
So he's not just any good talent. Like he's a real good talent. It's not like just any golden boy that we missed out on. He's the golden boy. You think?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not being biased, maybe a little biased, but the thing what he did on his debut, he assisted and scored. He runs around. I don't know who he played against. Probably not the best, but still, like when you do that for a debut, it's mental. So I'm so sad. I'm so sad.
Second or third youngest Champions League scorer ever, if I'm not mistaken either, right? Which is, I mean, you look at some of that list, some of those guys, maybe you don't really see much from them later on afterwards, but it's still like an impressive list to be on, right? To be one of the first ever, or one of the youngest ever goal scorers in the Champions League, as well as against a team like Porto, which I don't think are like easy team to really score against in any regard. It's not like it was like a Young Boys or something from Switzerland or like an FC Basel. Like it's a Porto or a real side. So he does look to be a real talent, but we wouldn't have even had him for the rest of the season. Whereas it seems like he's gone for more of a career choice than he really went for Spurs, right? He's kind of going for more of a slight step up instead of a huge step up, which would have been Tottenham Hotspur. So, I mean, is he maybe just looking out more for his own career? Do you think?
Yeah, it looks that way, and I don't fault him for that at all. You know
Mhm.
he's going to get game time at Brentford. He's still going to staying at Bruges now at the end, still to the end of the season anyway.
Mhm.
But I just want the Norwegian, dude. I still want the Norwegian at this club, and
Mhm.
also a good one if that was the case. Jesus, that would be great. But we move on. We gotta move on, and I can understand why we wouldn't pay like 30. I can see that. To be fair.
Dave wants a forward though, like kind of, sooner rather than later. Is that sort of the right sort of forward that we should have been going after? Do you agree that maybe this is what we could be looking to improve on in this window? If we were to bring in another player, would you like it to be a forward?
I think so more now than a midfielder. I think forward, yes, because of how we struggle in the forward line. I mean, I don't know how long Son is still out for, along that. So that's worry because I mean, Werner. I don't blame Werner. I don't know how people can blame Werner too much for the City game because he got no fucking service. He made so many good runs, and I don't blame too much on him there. But Johnson.
Let me ask you on that, Daniel. Could it be because they maybe seen what he's like in training? They've fed him through in training. He either has no end product or he's not finishing, and they just look at him and go, "No." Because I can tell you now, and I think me and you, Jack, were having this discussion after the game, right? If that was
Yeah.
Son, they wouldn't have dare looked away from him. That would have been over the
No.
top every single time. But because it's Werner, they sort of ignored him. Could it be down to that?
Well, that's a worry. I mean, why is he playing then?
Good question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Ange is seeing if the player sees one thing and Ange is seeing a different thing, then there's a little bit of a discommunication,
Mhm.
and I need answer for that. But
Mhm.
for me, because I remember when he played for Chelsea and they played City, I remember he made Kyle Walker. He made Kyle Walker headaches a lot of times, especially in the Champions League final. Of course, one time we did play in true, Kyle Walker managed to catch him. That's still, of course, but yeah. But I know his end product not the best, but still, we would still have a chance. We still would have been a chance, and you never
Mhm.
know. Instead of passing it backwards, I remember Kulu one time, like in the first half. My God, never been more pissed off. He was one pass straight in on goal, and he passed it back. I was like, "Oh, you bastard!"
What's going on with Kulu, Daniel? He's actually been in poor form for quite a while, actually, now. You go back to, he missed the United game, obviously, but in a couple of games before that, he was sort of missing in action as well. You go back to the Burnley game, not great that day, and there's been other games before that where he hasn't been great. Is it down to the fact that we're moving him from the right to the centre and all the changes that he's not really sort of, just being used in one position where he can sort of get comfortable? Or is it, deeper than that? What's your thoughts?
Well, I think the first one, when you have to play so many positions, it's hard to get,
Rhythm.
comfortable.
Yeah.
Everything, yeah. For me, because you never know. Okay, I'm gonna play here. My game has to be this way if I play here. My game has to be that way if I play here. In the field, so it's hard. So I'm not gonna blame him too much. But I still would like to see Madison on quicker. Because if he got on earlier, I think would have gotten a chance. But also he had an illness as well, so I don't want to go too hard on him. So
One theory that was brought up by Dave or somebody earlier was, I think it might have been Dermot, that said maybe just the huge break that we had could have explained just the lack of energy or something like that was on the pitch. Would you subscribe to that in any way, Daniel, or just think Spurs just got kind of outclassed in that first sort of 45 minutes and just had to sort of catch up to the pace of play and just sort of the levels? Like there was almost in a way like a huge quality kind of gap between us and City that game that normally we don't see when we play other teams.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it was definitely quality difference, but I mean that was just because we let them have the ball so much. And when we play this expansive brand of football, we can't let them have the ball. If we sat back like Conte, then of course they can have the ball as much as they want. You can never, when we play like just this quick passing at the back, is absolutely, you can't be sloppy. And sadly we were on the first half. Luckily we didn't. Well, first they didn't capitalize on that. But I still think City were poor. I don't think City were at all on their game. That was really disappointing as well, because if you were really on it, I think could easily won that. But there you go.
And that's it for me. Even if we showed 20% more effort, we would have made a better fist of it. And that's ultimately sort of what disappoints me and lets me down. Brennan Johnson, I haven't really asked anything on him, so I'll throw this one at you, Daniel. Do you want to see him start against Brentford, or regardless whether Maddison is fit to start? Because I think if he's fit to start, you might see Kulu go right wing. But even if he's not, and Kulu has to play through in the middle, you want to see Gil given that opportunity?
Yeah, I think Johnson needs to be benched now completely. I'm sorry, but he is a boy. He's not a man. He needs to man up first of all. And I know that's probably harsh, but my God, that guy pulls out of challenges. He looks like he gets tired over 10 minutes and he's tired. Just track back. How can that happen? Trains. Damn it. I mean, I shouldn't fucking talk. I mean, talk about business to footballers, but my God, he's so annoying, and it's his end product. I said I joked about, I think his girlfriend is the man in the relationship.
Are you joking? So I was going to actually though ask Daniel, what's more frustrating? Is it his work rate off of the ball, or is it more the finishing that's been frustrating you more?
Well, it was the finishing and the final product, but now it is his off work. Because against City, he could at least make an effort to tackle someone, get stuck in, did nothing, hid away, and that's not good enough. Even though he's just calm, I know he's just calm here, but that's still unacceptable for me.
Look, and this is something I sort of pointed out after the game. For me, if you see someone like Richarlison, for instance, there's questions about his ability and can he do it every week. But even when he's not on it, he will work like a dog. Even when he was injured and needed surgery, one thing he done was work like a dog. You look at Brennan Johnson, he won't even give you that. And that's where the problem comes in for me. I can understand a player having an off day or stuff like that, but what I can't accept is no work rate. We've been through this the last few years with certain players out there before, over the last few years, no work rate on the pitch. And I don't want to get back to that. I'm just trying to work out why Ange Postecoglou keeps picking him. Yeah, we can say, oh, it's obvious he's got injuries. Okay, but he's got Gil there and he won't give him the opportunity, but at least he works hard out of possession. He'll give you that work ethic outside of possession. So for me, Brennan Johnson has an awful lot to do to improve going forward if he wants to make it great at Tottenham.
Yeah, the thing is with Hill, though, I don't think he's an Ange plan at all, because I remember against United, he said Werner was the only player that could play there, and Hill was like sitting here, hello, I'm here.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, so that's it's disappointing for him. I think, well, if you're not going to be in your plans, you just loan him or sell him. There's no point of keeping him here.
I think they are trying to sell him. The problem is that no one else has money to spend right now. We've got players that we need to get rid of, but no one has cash to be able to come and buy them. I know there's offers on the table, or there was offers from Holland. There was a couple from the Premier League, but it all comes down to the agreement that they need to strike with the club. And so far, it looks like no one's coming close with that. But look, Daniel, last thing, do you think we'll see anybody before deadline day come in here?
I'm struggling to see anyone coming in at this point. I don't think Gallagher is happening. I saw Kimmich. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Are you actually thinking Kimmich is coming here?
I'd lose my nut if that happened.
Yeah, he's one of the best midfielders in the world. I think he's underrated, actually. I think he's absolutely amazing, but there's no way. There's no way, but my God. So, no. And then, of course, we lost on NUSA. I don't see us sending forward. So, no. Sadly not. But it's still been decent. I mean, can't really complain. Well, I don't know. I'm not complaining too much.
Look, there's plenty of time to have them discussions when the window closes. How we all feel about it, but we won't put ourselves into that mindset just yet. But Daniel, great to see you, my man. I'm glad to see that you finally have time back on your hands again after being worked like a dog, over Christmas and stuff like that. I know how busy that industry is, so credit to you. Not an easy few months to get through.
Well, I've lost a lot of weight, actually, so it's not too bad, actually. So
good for you, man.
Well,
good for you. Been working out or just
working out as well? Yeah, I'm jogging. I'm jogging. I'm doing some doing
some Richie runs.
I was inspired by you, actually.
You're inspiring, Jack.
Man. Yeah,
Yeah.
Donovision as well. Saw
Yeah.
Donovision. He's looking good these days, nice and slim as well. So I'm proud of you, Daniel. It feels good. I'm glad that you're able to, especially during the wintertime, man. It's not easy. It's tough. It's like it's probably the
Yeah,
worst
it's
time
tough.
to motivate
Oh.
yourself. Believe me, I would know. So well done to you, sir. I'm happy for
Yeah.
you, and I hope, yeah, like Dave said, that work, is a little bit easier, nowadays. You don't have to get too stressed out about it.
Yeah, it's on and off. All of a sudden, it can be complete hectic again. You know?
Yeah.
We have to. We're gonna get a renovation on our floor. Our floor. We need new floors. So you have to move out 1 week only, but so we're gonna have to catch up a little bit. So
it never stops, Daniel. It never
No.
stops, my man. But you know what?
I'm not
Go
complaining.
on.
though. I'm not complaining. I could never do work where I sit still. I have to move. I have to do. I have to be physical and stuff. So, I'm
Well,
not complaining.
do you know what? It's great to see, that you've given yourself a health kit. You're feeling a lot better and stuff like that. Because of it. And keep it up, my man. I'll be chasing you down every week for a weekly update to make sure you stay on top of it. So, Daniel, pick yourself up, my man, and we'll see you again very soon. All right.
Yeah, I just want to leave on one last thing.
Yeah.
Van de Ven, 10 out of 10. He was amazing. What a play. I mean, I just can keep going, but we are so lucky to have this man.
Oh,
He's just come back from hamstring, and he does that. I mean, one challenge he did was one of the best challenges I've seen. I remember. So yeah, just I'm so glad I got his kit because it seems to be working.
Yeah, that was a good one. Good pick there, sir. Good pick.
Do you know what? I don't think I've ever had a defender on the back of my jersey, but Ramiro Van de Ven might just make me do it. So, Daniel, you give me an idea. Thank you very much, my man. I agree with you on Van de Ven, by the way. But look, go on. Have a good evening, sir, and we'll speak again soon.
Yes. Take care, guys.
All right. Have a good night, Daniel. Looking good,
Much
man.
love.
See you, Daniel.
See you soon, sir.
Thank you.
See you,
Goodbye.
my man.
Goodbye.
Really nice guy Daniel is, and it's great to see people taking motivation off Jack. I know you inspired Ollie to get back into his running as well, Jack, which is
I think I was just annoying Ollie about it. I think he told me, it's like that thing where, they tell you once that they're doing it, and then you just sort of keep bringing it up. Like, well, you keep doing those Richie runs, you still doing them, my man, and it sort of keeps people kind of all accountable, keeps them just sort of in line with each other. So it looks like even you said, Dave, that you're going to keep Daniel, accountable now. So I think it's almost maybe a mistake then to tell people, because then they're going to hold you to it. They're going to hold you to it. They're going to start expecting you to do it. And Donovision as well, like I said, looks like he's, looking good, working out all the time. So everybody, if you need a bit of motivation, the Irish Hotspur community, everybody seems to, start, they're hitting the runs, working out, whatever it needs, whatever you feel like you want to do. It seems like people are doing it.
And look, what we'll do is we'll all do it together and keep each other accountable. Best way to do it. But absolutely love that, Jack, inspiring people out here. Tim, man, give me 1 second and I'll come back to this, brother. But I just want to say it's great to see you in the building. How are you keeping, my man? But Orox Speaks member for 7 months since Johnson and Werner are crap. We are the richest club in London. We have the money to have gotten 2 established wingers, but no, Levy will never change. Now, I do agree with them that they're not the answer. 100% agree with that. I look at Brennan Johnson. I just think there's too many pieces lacking from his game for him to ever really reach that level on a consistent basis the way we need it. I look at Werner. I already had my doubts. The biggest problem around Werner is he's a striker. We needed someone that's going to be a lot more sort of prolific, and even a winger that's prolific, that scores and assists goals, and it didn't solve that problem. It's all ifs, and that's my problem with these 2 guys. Brennan Johnson, if he comes good, give him time, he might come good. Same with Werner. I've heard it a lot down the years. I heard it for 10 years with Eric Dyer, for fuck's sake. Look, for me, I'll be brutally honest. You look at Johnson, it's a bit of a different story to Timo Werner. The Timo Werner one, I'm a bit upset about, but the Johnson one, once we sold Harry Kane, and I warned everybody the night before deadline day, that Tottenham will be in the market for a homegrown player. It has to be done. So that reduced the size of the pool that we actually had to go and operate in. So I can understand why Spurs went for someone that, qualifies for homegrown, that sort of has potential, because we're never going to go out and bang money down on a Sterling or a Rashford or someone like that. So I can understand that to a degree, but the Werner one annoys me a little bit, because I just think, we could have shown a little bit more ambition. Now, I know the counter argument will be but Dave, barely anybody's moved in January. Well, that should tell you we hold all the cards, right? You know, we're the only ones that have cash to spend. Why not flex the muscles and go and get what you want? Because I made an argument on We Are Talking TV earlier on. It gives, by delaying it to the summer, it gives clubs 6 months to be able to sort out and circumvent rules around what's going on right now, sort out their accounts. And we know with clubs, they have the smartest people employed and they all will find a way. So for me, I'm just thinking maybe we missed out on an opportunity this window, Orox Beats. And I am a bit annoyed with the Werner one. I do sort of agree with you on that regard. And I'm actually at the point, and I've always tried to stretch this, scoring goals and creating goals is the hardest thing to do on a football pitch, the hardest thing to do in football. And then players are hard to find. So when we do find them again, we got to make sure we bloody keep them. You know, because for me, I think it's now part of the missing piece of the puzzle, you know, is that forward line now. You get that. That will bring you to a championship next season. Jack, where are you at with it?
Yeah, I have slightly more faith in the Speedo Timo than maybe I should, or maybe than others do.
I just love his song, but I just don't have faith in the player.
Yeah, and I agree with most of what you say, because even with it's like I say, even though I have a bit of faith in Timo to come good, I know what you had meant originally, which was it's always ifs with Timo. Like, it's like if he can get to that level again, if he can be a good squad player, if he can sort of tap into that old form and that old sort of confidence that he used to have sort of back in the day. And I can understand that, where it's not in any way certain, it's not in any way proven. There's not even a lot of recent sort of evidence to suggest that he would get back to that sort of form ever again. And so I can see how that's something that I don't think anybody could really disagree with. Like, it is kind of a lot of ifs when it came to Timo Werner. And then I also agree with sort of the Brennan Johnson one, where it's like, as even though you and I sort of have our frustrations with him, it was a necessary homegrown signing. We needed to sign a young homegrown talent of some kind to fill in that forward area, because Spurs had been so dreadful for so many years in signing the homegrown talents of any kind. You know, we've just been struggling to fill the quota, because you have to fill that quota, the homegrown quota. And we just, majority of the time, we were just using homegrown pawns like, you know, Brandon Austin and Harry Winks and all these sort of guys to keep around so that we could make up the quota. And a guy like Brennan Johnson was weirdly a necessary signing in order to actually improve in that area. James Maddison, of course, is kind of the new star of the team, but he also was kind of a bit of a necessary signing in terms of the homegrown sort of area. But perhaps with Brennan Johnson, it's just going to be one that I hope that just sort of the patience word that I keep seeing when it comes to him, I hope that it's, you know, comes true, where am I losing patience with Brennan Johnson? Not necessarily, but I think I'm right to say that I have been frustrated with plenty of games of his so far this season. And I think mainly the reason for me is I think sometimes the bare minimum of any player is, especially in this system, you do have to work hard off the ball. You do have to get stuck in for your teammates in case maybe Pedro Porro is caught too far forward. You have to be that guy that makes that sacrificing run back to help him out, to let him recover. And sometimes I just don't see that enough from Brennan Johnson, where he does, in fact, in my opinion, pull out of challenges, or there are certain moments when I'm just not seeing enough sort of grit and work from him on the defensive end. I think he could learn, and I think he could get into better shape, and he would be able to do that. But that's where I actually get most frustrated. Yes, he spurns chances. Yes, maybe the end product does also, you know, give me frustration too. But sometimes then it comes down to bare minimums with a player. And when I'm not seeing sort of enough work rate, I do get more frustrated, actually. Whereas I wouldn't say that sometimes with other Spurs players in the past. Even that's probably why people liked Lamela, even though I don't want to just sort of make that comparison, you know, in such a, you know, really strong way. The reason people did like Lamela was because he at least, you know, put in some effort off of the ball and actually did show that he cared in sort of the defensive end. Whereas I'm not seeing that from Johnson, at least at this moment in time. But I hope that the patience word comes true with Johnson. And I hope that all the ifs around Speedo Timo also come true at some stage as well. I would say, I think Timo, he's not been nearly as bad as people, I think, say he's been. And I would say even in recent games, he's been better than Brennan Johnson. I know we're talking about very minimal things and almost kind of a bit nitpicky, probably how I come across right now. But if I were to be a bit nitpicky, I think he's actually been better than Brennan Johnson in the last few games since he's been here.
No, I agree with that. Well, Orox Beats, let us know what you think of mine and Jacko's breakdown on that, sir. Big yourselves up. Just quickly, and then I'm going to go back to Tin Man. Again, King Huddle, not the case whatsoever. To be fair to me, you know, go back and watch my Welcome to Tottenham Timo Werner. I stated there on the signing my thoughts on it there and then. and it hasn't worked out. I stated that I wanted the club to show a bit more ambition. So I would say what you're trying to pigeonhole me into there doesn't quite work with me, because I was one of the ones out there at the time expressing my concern over the deal. So I think you're going to have to try better than that, King Huddle, if you ask me. And then Team Man 007 says, big up, fellas. My frustration is that we don't have a plan B. Stick Porro further forward, get to a back three, use Werner Johnson more central for pace. But you know what, Tin Man? I'd argue a lot of this plan B in football, it's not the case anymore. You look at managers now, they go in, they play that one way because it's such a here-now cutthroat industry. You lose 3 games on the bounce, you're under pressure. Managers will not change and mix up messages and have these plan Bs unless they're in there at a club for a period of time where they can sort of, get away with that. Look, with Postecoglou as well, we knew there was going to be no plan B when we hired him. I warned everybody, it's one way and one way only. For me, the plan B isn't the problem. I just think, and I get it, we're only 6 months into the project. It's going to take time, and I'm not giving out, but I do think it's important to highlight just so that we don't think everything's done. When we've had to rely on the squad, we've seen a drop-off over the last 10, 11 games. I mean, there's no denying that. So for me, it's just about continuing to improve in the transfer window, keep picking up the pieces. And then once you have all the pieces to the puzzle, you don't need a plan B. You just take one out, you bring the next guy in, and away you go. You go on and win games. Plus, you look, Pep Guardiola, does he always have a plan B? No. Jurgen Klopp? No. They just have a squad and they have options available to them. So that's just where we need to get, Tin Man 007. I think that, the days of plan Bs and stuff like that, I think sadly they're gone because no manager has that sort of time anymore, my man. And, with the way modern footballers are now, if you start changing messages, all of a sudden they become confused. So I don't think they have the brain capacity to understand plan Bs and stuff like that, my man. But big yourself up, Tin Man, and good to see you in the building. And then we also have DJ Samuel with a super sticker. Wow, DJ, my man, really appreciate it.
Really generous, man.
Support, brother, top man. Really appreciate it.
Really generous, DJ. And this one's actually funny. It's a new one I haven't seen yet, Dave. It's a bit of a treasure chest that's coming out here. It's DJ popping out of a treasure chest. And maybe this is sort of the transfer kitty that maybe some people maybe wish Spurs showed this January window, I guess. But really do appreciate that, DJ. Very generous, sir. And to be honest, the January window, it's not really one where people often do splash the cash a lot. But the summer, let me get your thoughts on this, DJ, if you want to put it in the chat at some stage, because Dave and I have actually found agreement on this summer. Spurs should actually maybe start looking at targets of more of a marquee type, guys that have been proven to sort of show up in the big games, guys that don't get intimidated by sort of the Man Cities, by sort of the bigger occasions, by the big games, and can in fact show up and deliver for you in those big games. Of course, we have a guy like Sonny for those sort of types, and we also have maybe a James Madison and maybe some others, but you do need extra guys that in these bigger games can sort of show up for you. And it'd be nice to maybe start looking at some bigger targets, and not saying we need someone like a Joshua Kimmich or Joshua Kimmich, but it would be sort of in that type of mold, somebody that is a household name of some sort that we know can actually help improve the squad even that much more. Because once you kind of build the semblance of a decent squad, some backups, things like that, then you start to look more into kind of improving in little extra ways. And the way you do that is sometimes through a big signing and through a big player. So maybe we need a treasure chest signing, sir.
Look, I agree with you. I think for me, that's what you're missing. You did what we're doing right now, and the great recruitment policy we have. It'll bring you to a certain level, but at some point, you need to bring in just one or two. Not asking for loads, just to sprinkle it out throughout the team in the right positions for that bit of leadership, that big know-how in around big games, how to handle it, how to prepare yourself in-game, all that sort of stuff. I just think there's an opportunity for us to do it. A bit like what Liverpool done, Alisson, Van Dijk, and away you go, 2 leaders into that team. But DJ Samuel, some would argue that that chest is probably there stored away for the summer. I really do hope it is. I'd argue if it's put away for the summer, why not use it now while the window is stagnant? But anyway, we'll move on, DJ Samuel. Let's just Do you know what? I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna sit here up until 1 minute to 11 on deadline day, still hoping I see something scroll along the bottom of Sky Sports saying Tottenham have so and so at the training ground or something like that. Look, let's wait and see what happens. But big up, DJ Samuel. Hopefully, I really appreciate the support. Hopefully, we haven't left you broke, my man. Hopefully, you still have money to get yourself bread and that up until next payday and stuff like that. So big up, DJ
Very
Samuel.
generous, man.
Very generous, very, very generous. And he's done this a few times lately as well. So I really appreciate it, DJ. Like I said, I really do hope you get to go to the Arsenal game so I can have a chat with you and buy you a pint, my man. But Jack, let's keep this moving. Let's keep the show on the road. Who have we got next?
The other man doing his own version of Richie Runs. We got the Donovision Dave. He's coming up next.
Let's get him on. Donovan, how you keeping, sir?
How's it going, guys?
I like that top
Not
as
too
well.
bad. That's a sharp polo.
Under
Yeah.
Armour back in the day as well. That must be an older one,
Nice.
isn't it?
Yeah, it was a gift from my missus. Got it. It was after we got out of the Under Armour era too. So I was like, "Where did you track this piece of memorabilia down?" But I was lucky enough to get it. So
She's resourceful. She's resourceful by the looks of things. I like it.
She has her
I
ways.
miss the Under Armour. I do miss it. I think it was, not bad. And the Puma as well, wasn't bad either. So yeah, I like that one indeed. What's on your mind, Donovan? How you feeling post FA Cup knockout? Potentially, probably, should I say, another trophyless season?
yeah, well, never say never. We're still 8 points off the top. No, but just kidding. All realism aside, like it was a kick in the teeth.
Mhm.
Like Jack and I'm sorry, Dave. What Dave said earlier is that we relied on our squad that game, and you could see that our squad wasn't exactly up to par where it should be. Not exactly agreeing with all the flack that Brendan Johnson's getting, and some of the others in our squad. I thought Hojbjerg played a pretty decent game. Lapses in concentration, which is unusual for a veteran player of his caliber at the end there. But all in all, it was just sad to see such a dominant display from a team striving where we're trying to strive to be, I should say. But yeah, at the end of the day, you just have to remind yourself that Ange is only 6 months in the project, and it wasn't a battering. It was an 88-minute goal. I have a clip of a picture of the side view of Diaz going into Vicario, and you can actually see that his elbow is like right in his throat, kind of upper chest area. And I've seen fouls being given for less contact. So I'm not going to argue that it's a foul or not. An old school player would tell you to be strong in that scenario, especially as a goalie, just clear him out. But it was just tough to see.
Consistency is maybe what you're looking for, right? Like at least on those sort of kind of calls.
Yeah, especially when like less than a month ago, you see Allison getting blown on, brushed.
Yeah.
And the calls back, right? So exactly, well said, Jack. Get some consistency. But
I agree
overall,
with that.
yeah, it's a bit melancholy going forward.
Was it also frustrating though that was the way that even Man City also scored it? Like they wasted, in my opinion, plenty of chances, and we did have some excellent defending. But that's the goal that goes in was also kind of almost an extra kick in the teeth. It was just a sloppy, kind of just, to be honest, kind of trash goal that really I don't think anybody would be that proud of. And then to see Man City's fan doing the Poznan afterwards, it was just that sort of just made it, not feel. It was like, yeah, it was a lot of kicks in the teeth. If I'm going to be perfectly honest, Donovan.
It's like a what if, man. Like it was the 88th minute, and you saw that they didn't want that return leg, and they wanted to get out of there with the win. And you just hold on maybe a little bit more. Maybe you go and nick it in the 94th minute at home, right? Like maybe we get that corner kick instead. But ultimately, our bench isn't exactly where it needs to be going forward. And let's hope that we can take advantage of the next 3 days and the summer transfer window and really kick on next season. So I'm still holding out. I still think we've got a decent enough squad once everyone comes back in the next 2 weeks to really do something this season. So never say never, one game at a time from here on out. And let's just hope we can stay injury free.
Look, I really do hope so. I mean, I think it's crucial for us to have a really sort of strong end to the campaign. So hopefully we can't stay injury free on that regard. Sorry, I'm just distracted by a argument in the chat, Jacko. You any questions there lined up while I sort this
Sure.
out? Give me 1 second.
No, sure. Yeah, everybody. I think we should just, like Dave said in the chat there, I think there's no reason to bring names or anything into this. You're welcome to disagree with each other, but no need to go to lower levels to get your point out. Sort of on the game, though, I did bring up Donovan that I feel like Ange, maybe with the way that we set up or our style of play or perhaps our tactics, maybe got a bit exploited by Pep Guardiola in that sort of first half because they really were causing us problems with Kyle Walker down that right side. Do you think maybe Pep saw something maybe in sort of the system that he felt like he could exploit and that kind of put us on the back foot from the get-go?
Yeah, it was. You could see, like you was already touched on, not saying anything already said before, that
Okay.
they really targeted Bentancur, and once that avenue was cut off, you couldn't really turn, and then you rely on the likes of Destiny and Pedro to try and push us up the field. And I would argue, we got through a couple times once we kind of got the jizz out of our system, and it was 5-on-4, 5-on-3 for a good part of that middle part, the 25th minute to the 60th minute. It was about back and forth. But you got world-class defenders, man. Like Kyle Walker, like a couple times where he seemed totally done, but then he would do some miraculous slide tackle, one leg hook. And you just really rolls back the years when he used to do that for us. And it was just sad to see that the gulf of class going forward. I think Davo touched on this earlier, that having a world-class player like a Sonny or like a Kulusevski farther up the pitch helps alleviate that pressure. And maybe though some of those passes do get through, because I know your Destiny was could have played Timo in a couple more times, and maybe it's just the lack of chemistry and the lack of minutes together. But yeah, long story short, it's a team that's 4 or 5 seasons gelled together, right? They know what to do defensively, and I always think there's a different Man City in the cups than there are in the league. I think they go into a different mindset and a different gear. I look back to when Ryan Mason took over in the cup final, and they just outclassed us that day too. And they just have this mental edge over a lot of competition. But I wouldn't be too worried about it long term. I think Ange can instill that into the players. It just, you can't rush greatness, man.
Do you know what, Donovan? I look at that game. Although I'm very disappointed with the performance, so I do leave it coming. If we put on a better performance that day in terms of work rate and stuff like that, we turn them over. So I guess my point is, we're not too far away. What do we need to add to take that next step?
It doesn't help that you have an international competition right smack in the middle of the season.
That's true.
I'm not gonna make excuses for the lack of spending or quality that we have in the squad, but I think if we have a Sonny in that team, we win that game, right? People are ripping on a Brennan Johnson on the wing. In an ideal world, you have Madison in there, and then Kulusevski's on the wing, and Johnson's an impact sub. The weight of the responsibility isn't on him. So there's a lot of factors on the outside that have to get put into play here. But you could just argue that there's just a lack of star quality out of that starting 11 in our squad. And that's just the thing that comes in time. I'm really hoping that we can get some marquee signings in here soon. But with a starting 11 that's healthy, we should be good to take on any team. And that's not like we're a terrible side. It just seems like we've had shit luck and shit just results. And if it's not one thing, it's another. So
yeah. Also, Dave and you were kind of agreeing that maybe missing a world-class player is sort of in that forward area, but he did also say that if you were to look at sort of Spurs' history or Spurs' record without Pop Matasar, it's also rather interesting, right? That we perhaps are kind of dependent on I'm not sure what age he is now, but we still sort of look at him as
19,
basically a teenager. He's still basically a teenager, this kid. And weirdly enough, we're actually quite reliant on him, at least according to our record.
I'm wondering, like, I always had this conversation, like, I was on Jacob's channel
Mhm.
like right after the match, and a lot of us were pretty like pumped up and still annoyed. And somebody brought up that too, Jack, like that Papa Matasar was a big miss. Now I'm thinking to myself, I don't know if having a 19-year-old or 20-year-old midfielder wins us or makes us better in that game. But I think the energy he brings on that side of the pitch to cover
Yeah.
Brendan
Yeah.
Johnson, that's
I'd
what we're
agree.
lacking.
Yeah.
Because I'm not here defending Brennan, but there is a huge step up in class to be a top 6 Premier League starter than there is to be a star boy prospect on a relegation team. And even he came out and admitted it in that he did a Spurs talk I saw with Michael Dawson and our other gentleman there.
Oh yeah, the
And
podcast.
yeah, and I had no
Yeah.
idea that Michael Dawson and his dad were mates and they got on. Brendan's dad. And Brendan even admitted there's a 10-minute kind of spiel of him saying, yeah, straight up, I wasn't in the fitness level that I should have been coming to Spurs, and it showed after the North London Derby. And running at that level for that long, 90 minutes, 80 minutes, it put him out for 3 weeks. And it takes a long time to get to that level. And I'm not, they're Premier League players, okay? Like they're getting paid tens of thousands of pounds. They should be performing better than the average athlete. But Ange's system isn't an average system. It requires like a lot of physical toll on the body. And I just think he was knackered. You just saw him like.
But you know what though, Donovan? Does it not concern you that the guy gets a big massive move, a step up in quality, and he doesn't come here fit?
No, because it was like a deadline signing. If it was like, all right, man, you had a whole preseason and you had a whole if you had a whole preseason to get ready and you knew you're going to start and be a pivotal point in this club, and he just blew it off, then you'd question it. But the fact that it was so quick, he was starting right away, he maybe had 2 or 3 sessions with the squad. It just seems that since Ange has come in, it's like we're trying to make up for lost time. And that's not just with Brennan, that's with the tactics, that's with players.
I agree.
So it'll even out over a period of time. And that's why I'm not being too critical on the guy, because long term, I can see the vision and I can see that having a pacey, dynamic impact sub is going to be beneficial more than is going to hinder us. But we just can't be in a position where we're relying on this guy week in and week out.
Yeah.
And let's just hope going forward, Kulizeski and Solomon. I have high hopes for Solomon too. Let's just hope these players can start distributing the weight load around, because it's
they need to spread. Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
No, I was just going to say, I think he makes a great point, and I'm probably guilty of that myself, where I'm trying to make up for lost time with Ange Postecoglou because I'm so desperate to try and get over the line. Sometimes maybe I do need to show a little bit more patience here and there. But one thing I do like to think I do is have a good eye for a player, and I just don't think Johnson's got it personally. But sorry, Jack, what were you going to say, my man?
Well, he was sort of bringing up kind of the bearers of responsibility kind of in this team and sort of these bigger moments. And that sort of game, I did think to myself, like, Sonny obviously needed somebody sort of in that forward line to step up for him, and he needs other players to step up for him in this time, gone. And I know Pop Matasar, like you were bringing up, is only a teenager, and maybe he's, what he brings though is sort of like kind of an attitude and an energy, like you had mentioned, that maybe inspires others and sort of holds other people accountable, because they see him running up and down the pitch and, pretty much running his lungs out. Doesn't mean then that you can get away with sort of not doing the same. Like, you kind of have to match that sort of enthusiasm and that energy. And maybe just in recent games, it's sort of, we're not getting maybe enough inspiration off of each other, in the game, or we're not seeing enough energy, from the whole team that then inspires other people's to not slack or sort of miss out. I did bring up, if you were listening earlier, Donovan, which maybe is a weird comparison to make, but remember under Marcelo Bielsa, there was that sort of Bielsa burnout. that can happen at some stages during the season. Could we be something similar going on here? A bit of a burnout with certain players, maybe just getting a little tired. Not just Johnson, maybe some other guys like
I
Kulu
think
and
it's.
whatnot.
I did hear that. That's quite an interesting comparison. Like I can see it because it's such a high pressing, high engaged in tactic. I think it's easy to overthink kind of any kind of obstacle you have going forward when the level of Tottenham Hotspur is that we demand such a high result base going forward. Like we're expected to win every game. I don't think it's as deep as that, Jack, because of that. We are a top 6 club, regardless if you want it or not. And if there was that drop of quality and we saw that the locker room was doing that, it wouldn't last and something would happen, whereas it would be Bielsa was fired because the players turned on him. It wouldn't be like that in Tottenham Hotspur's case because Ange wouldn't let that happen based on the fact that he knows that the bar is so high. And I don't think anybody in that locker room or squad would be there in the first place if Ange thought that any of those players had it in them. And to go back on your point there, Jack, yeah, I think it was the lack of accountability was really shown on, was it Friday?
Yeah.
Because you have, when you need to win a game of football and when you're playing against such high level of opposition, every single player, reserve, maybe not the reserves, but every single player on that pitch needs to be exerting that energy and that level of intent. That gets you referees' decisions. That keeps the crowd up, whether you're away or home. And ultimately, that pendulum that goes back and forth will swing in your way. And when you only got 6 or 7 of the 11 that are pushing that, then eventually you're going to fall back. And you saw that. It was like at the end, Dave mentioned it, watching Coetzee and Pedro just bollock De Bruyne and Doku in the end. It was like, oh, like that's what it's come to. The frustrations boiled over that much where it's like, okay, we're giving all our energy out and we're not having it matched. What's the point? And then so I'll kick out in this guy. It's a one-off. It's a one-off.
This question has been brought up, but we only have played so many big games this season. Could also be that because we're not in Champions League, we're not playing, regularly brilliant teams or, big, high intensity, high stakes sort of fixtures on a regular basis, like maybe other teams might, that we also lacked a bit of experience in sort of a game like this that maybe other teams have already developed so far in the course of the season. Like we've only played in so many massive games, whereas other teams probably at this stage of the season have played maybe double the amount of like big occasion type games than we have.
Yeah. Same thing with Ange too, man. Like you look at his Celtic, you look at his Celtic side against Real Madrid there, and you guys both mentioned how for this tactic to work, every single person needs to be positioned properly 100% of the time, and that Celtic side that went and played Real Madrid, sure they played well and good football, but it was their first time in that big arena as well, and you saw the drop off of quality. So I have high hopes for the return leg for Manchester City when we have Sonny back and we have Madison fit. I think we'll see a totally different set of players and a set of results. But that being said, I think we all can agree it was an 88th minute goal that won it. Right? It wasn't like they outclassed us to the point where Vicario was getting clear-cut chances. That back line looks very good. That back four, it looks settled. I think what we need is just, we know our back four. We can pick it. We don't even have to think about it. We just need that for the midfield and forward line going forward. And then once that's set, then you can, start building, and Yeah,
Mm.
because right now Pedro Porro doesn't know if he's got Kulusevski. Because when Kulusevski plays in front of Pedro, he must love it because he's got one of the easiest defensive games going forward because he knows that it's not going to get past Kulusevski. And if it does, he can clean up what's behind him. But when Brennan's in front of him, he knows that, oh my goodness, I'm going to have a whole 90 minutes of intense
Yeah.
defensive work ahead of me.
Fair point.
And I have to provide attacking outlets going forward.
Mm.
So, yeah,
Mm.
I think we all can agree. Let's just drop Brennan to the bench and kind of
Yeah.
reset the slate because it's about mentality, lads. Like, just forget it because we don't want this to seep into our league form because we actually got some good league form. We have our 18 points better than we were last season at this point. So we don't want to screw that up.
No, absolutely, we definitely do not, and that's why I just hope the players can, sort of, get themselves up for this. I think they will. I think you look at a lot of players we've got; they feel like they deserve to be playing Champions League football. So I think they'll go out there and get that job done. Just to, quickly, in terms of what you were saying there about getting the midfield right and the forward line right. I'm with you. I think the back line for me, you just bring in one left back there, as someone that's can cover those. I think we're absolutely fine there. And I actually think it's the right sort of base we need to be building off going forward because you have to keep clean sheets regularly. Sir Alex Ferguson used to say it: defense will win you leagues, attacks will win you games. Midfield, I actually think we're only one player off. You've got Basuma, Madison, Bentancur, Papa Massar. You bring in one more player to that. You're not going to have 6 superstars in that position. And then, one more up in the forward line, whether that's right wing or whether it is someone else to come in here and help Richie. I think then for me, I think we're set to go next season. It's just about getting there and keeping the patience, Donovan. But Donovan, great call in, my man. Great points as always. Really do enjoy speaking to you, sir. And look, we'll let you get back to the gym.
Yeah, no, actually, I went this morning. I'm gonna relax and chill out before work later. But yeah, it was good talking to you guys, and I really wish we had some more positives to talk about. But I mean, you can only do so much.
It's still been a better season though, right? And than it was last season. So these are the little bad moments that we just have to pick ourselves up from. And to be fair, Daniel, I said this, we already got games coming up thick and fast. So in a way, we kind of just got to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves down, and just kind of get straight away back into a different mentality to, try to get something out of the rest of the season. So I hope the players feel kind of the same way. Say that again.
No, I said Daniel who, Jack, because you call me Daniel. It's all
Oh,
good.
Daniel. Sorry, Donovan. Donovision. Sorry, the Donovision. But I know what you mean. Where I think we just got to get through the rest of the season, if you ask me, and just pick ourselves up, dust ourselves down, and kind of move on. But it's been a good season so far, man. We just take these little blips, the best way that we possibly can, I guess.
No, we're playing the best football in the league. Take cup competition aside, we're playing the best football in the league. And like I said, we get those players back. We get a healthy, positive squad going forward. Just a question for you guys. You think this will galvanize us going forward? I think Ange will get us together and kind of use this as momentum to propel us going forward.
No, I think it will galvanize us. Ange will come out and take the hit publicly, no problem. But behind the scenes, I definitely think he'll be cracking the whip. I think he'll be telling them exactly that it wasn't good enough. I think he'll put sort of a rocket up their ass, And I think if I'm the manager, I use that legacy number as my sort of way to get them going. It's like you look back at some of the greats who have actually won trophies. They're still talked about to this day. Do you want to be that type of player? Well, you've got a number. It's up to you to make that legacy. Look, I personally think it will galvanize them. We've just got to stay injury free more or less between now and the end of the season. Really, I think on that.
Yeah, sorry. I know you guys want to continue. I'll just say this one last thing. I think how he'll use it is he won't attack them, but he'll just kind of question them where at home. What kind of footballer are you? Like you said, Dave, the legacy number. But at the end of the day, he'll just tell them, lads, that's not good enough. You're better than that. I think we just gave him too much respect. I think the lack of that one star figure, Sonny, kind of just maybe that confidence wasn't there. But this is going to be a learning opportunity for him. Hey, even if Sonny's not there, Or maybe he'll straight up say it. He'll say, "Yo, Sonny's gone in 2 years. Like you have to be bigger within yourselves to overcome that." And I think he's proven in the past that he'll teach. This was a teachable moment rather than a Conte that would just burn the whole thing down. And that going forward is the positive we got to take from it, knowing that we got a manager that will instill a belief and teach these young men how to win. And that's all we got to know going forward. So.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. And that's why Andrew's here. He's here to teach them how to win. And he's done it everywhere else he's been. I don't see why he can't do it at Tottenham as long as we continue to give him a helping hand in the transfer window. But Donovan, big yourself up, my man. Really appreciate your time today. If you're ever around or fancy doing a pre-match show with us, let me know.
Yeah, I think this Wednesday, actually, one of my Japanese friends is down, so I'm unavailable this Wednesday. But I have your WhatsApp. Let's get in contact for the next one after Wednesday. I'm definitely down for that, man.
100%.
Have fun with him, and we'll see you next time, my man. Have a good time.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Alrighty.
See you,
Best of
Donovan.
luck at the gym as well. See you, Donovan.
Cheers.
Bye-bye. Great conversation there from Donovan. Really like Donovan. Been speaking to him for quite some time. Used to come on me on Tottenham TV and keep me occupied, in the pre-games and stuff like that. Very, very good conversations with Donovan. I love, I just love how level-headed he is. He doesn't get as high or as low as me. I wish I could be like that.
Definitely. And Jason Bell in here with a great comment saying, I saw a report that we've got no intention of keeping Werner. Then when we signed him, I thought maybe he was just a body to get us through the season. Thoughts? My hope was that he would, to be honest, I think that was sort of maybe the intention of the signing. And then they're sort of hoping that he does actually come through and does actually outperform expectations. Then they can sort of reassess the signing in general to see if he actually is good enough to maybe stick around for a longer term. But I think this is where maybe Dave's frustration originally came from the signing, actually. I don't want to put words in Dave's mouth, Jason, but I think this is where Dave's frustration around the Werner signing comes from, is maybe you also kind of saw it as Spurs just sort of signing a body for sort of the rest of the season and just a guy to make up the numbers here, and not really exactly sort of the attitude or the mentality that maybe we wanted to see from sort of the forward area of this sort of transfer window.
No, look, that's exactly where I was at. For me, you had a golden opportunity here to really sort of try and, rubber stamp yourselves going forward into the second half of the season. And I just think for me, Werner was a case of, we'll try. If it works out, we look like geniuses, we'll pull the trigger. But for me, I think it was just a body to come in here and cover for a few games or whatever while we've got players away. But that's what got us into this position in the first place, just bringing in bodies just to do. And I get that we're not tied down to this one. However, it's already come back to cost us. We knew we'd be missing some for the FA Cup game. Should have hit that market with a bit more ambition, not to try and actually sign a player that could have an impact in this game going forward, and other games. The United game as well. Although he did sort of have an assist. He had a couple of opportunities. Takes one of them, we go and win the game. And for me, like I keep saying, I think everyone took Harry Kane for granted, and it was almost like it's grand. We'll get anybody, any old Joss up in here. They'll all score 15 goals this season. They'll all assist. And I tried warning everybody. Scoring and assisting goals in football, you're taking for granted. It's the hardest thing to do. And I feel like the club are also taking it for granted. And when I've grew up and I've had Harry Kane, Robbie Keane, Jermaine Defoe, then you go on to wingers, Bale, Ginola, Aaron Lennon, people like that. I don't think I should accept B-class players in them positions. Being brutally honest, I expect the first in class. I've always maintained you get a proper back line in behind what we had in the forward line, you will go on and challenge for titles. We didn't want to do that. When we did do it, then we went and sold our star forward, who is the missing piece right now. We have him this season. We're having a complete different conversation altogether this evening. And that's where my whole frustration comes about it. Ambition. I'm all for sitting back, watching Tottenham, how they're doing things. And I'm one of them. I've been on it. I've took dog's abuse for my position on Paratici, when it was uncool to take that position. And same as Jack, that I do think he's doing a good job at Tottenham. And I do think the recruitment is right to a certain degree. But for me, that's a means. There has to be a means to an end. I want to win trophies. And in order to get there, I'm not naive to sit there and go, let's clap Johnson for 6 months and hopefully he decides to put on a performance. You know, I understand that it takes a different mentality for an individual to be at it week in, week out. And some of the guys we got in that forward line do not have it. And it'll be the next problem that we'll be talking about for the next few years. Oh, if only we went out and showed more ambition, we would have got over the line. So for me, I'm at that point. We've got all the right pieces of the puzzle. We've got one of the best recruiters in the business, one of the best managers in the business. We've made great strides by signing some of the best young up-and-coming players in the business. Now let's push it on. Let's not hold it back where we were under Pochettino, where we held it back. I gave them a pass because of the stadium. They will not get one off me this time. But that's my whole problem. I knew Timo Werner was never going to come in here and assist or score the goals that we needed to help us move forward. The problem was how prolific we were in the forward area. And all we've done is add to it, you know. All we've done is add to the problem. Jason, that's my thoughts on it. My man, I don't know. What's your thoughts? Let me know in the chat, brother. Let me know in the chat. And then we also have this one from Jerome. But big up, Jason Bell. Good question, my man. I do like that. And Jerome, good to see you as well from down under. How you keeping, sir? He says, sorry, but as bad as Werner is, he was in a good spot against City, but none of the players could find him. Not good enough, but we are only at the start of the Big Ange revolution. Jack, you want to take that one first?
I felt like Werner of recent, like he's only played so many games, and I think I am being nitpicky, Jerome. I do think he's been better actually than Brennan Johnson of the recent games that he's played in. I know it's not really much to rave about or much to really talk about, but I do think he's been slightly better. And I felt a bit bad for him in the recent game where he was making the correct runs and he was making some of the same runs that you would see Sonny make down that left wing. It's just he wasn't played in. And yes, I can see where Dave is coming from, where maybe he's not shown enough in training or some of the players might not have that much confidence in him as they would a guy like Sonny. But still, like the way that Udogie and Kulusevski were just continuing to dribble and hold on to the ball when they did have forward options and passing options to them. That's just not how you play. Like, it's not a game where you just, and I think even Ange knows this himself, where he even trains these guys. You know, you can't just be a dribble merchant, just being, you know, taking it up the pitch by yourself. You have to use your teammates. You have to move the ball quickly. The ball moves quicker without you, actually. The ball moves quicker by you passing it to someone else than you actually dribbling up the length of the pitch. And I just got a bit frustrated with times when Werner was just clearly through or clearly open and they just didn't play him. Also on a couple occasions too, if I'm not mistaken, he would actually have made a run sort of towards the back post that also just didn't get played, that also just didn't get found, where he pretty much had close to a tap in if they were able to find him. So I felt like Werner, for the most part, when it came to the runs that he was making, was doing all the right things. Could he maybe do a little bit more in possession? Perhaps. But he also set up one of the better chances of the few chances that we did create. He set up one of the better chances for someone like Brennan Johnson when he played that ball in behind. So I don't think Werner by any means, at least right now, is going to be the future, is the answer. But I don't think he's been as bad as maybe some people might say, and I'd be happy to just sort of maybe see how the rest of the season goes to see who ends up being sort of more or less right on it. But for right now, I'd say Werner's not been nearly as bad as people say. But yeah, maybe not good enough for what we actually need in this big Ange revolution. But Ange, I think, the course of the season, bird's eye view, Jerome, Ange has, I think, shown plenty of evidence that he is clearly headed in the right direction and is taking us in the right direction and knows how to be able to sort of build a project here at Spurs that we haven't seen maybe built in the right way in a long time.
And look, I sort of echo Jack's sentiments there on Big Ange Postecoglou. But, you know, the reason why I come out here and I say these things is because at the end of the day, you know, Ange Postecoglou isn't, you know, he's not God. You know, he still needs help from the club to be able to, you know, take this where he wants to go to match his ambition, despite how brilliant he is. But look, when it comes to Werner, I actually agree with Jack again. I don't think he's been the worst. You know, he's been much better than Brennan Johnson. You know, at least he tries to, you know, at least when he gets the ball, he's trying to make something happen. When Brennan Johnson does, he's absolutely crap. But my problem is, you know, if you wanted to put Son back down the middle, then you have to bring in players that are going to create. And they ain't doing that. So if you're not going to create, then you have to score. And they're not doing that either. So for me, they don't actually solve a problem. That's what my issue is. They actually add to a problem. They're making the problem bigger than what it really needs to be. Look, with Werner, I'm not really going to go too harsh on the guy at the end of the day, you know. I'm going to try not to. But I just feel like, you know, when I look at him, He's been involved in big games. He's been around big players in the dressing rooms at Leipzig, at Chelsea. What do big players do if it's not going your way? Okay, you can make 50 runs. If you don't get the ball, you start dropping deep to get on the ball and try and make something happen. I don't feel like him or Johnson want to do that. I feel like they're just happy to accept it's not gone my way.
In Werner's case, he'd much rather just run in behind. He's a guy who doesn't like to drop deep and receive the ball. Like, that's something where he feels far more uncomfortable. So he is going to want to be played in behind, and that's where his forte is. It's where his strengths lie. And if it's not happening for him, he is probably left a bit rudderless, or left a bit sort of kind of, he's a bit pointless of a player than to have on the pitch if you're not going to play him in behind. I'd agree with that, where he's never really been nearly as skilled in possession as he is actually with sort of the timing of his runs, or sort of the types of runs that he can make, and that type of pace that he does show. Whereas if you're going to ask him to try to drop deep and create something like maybe Sonny has for us this season, not really exactly his forte. But I think also, just to kind of defend Dave's point on Timo, sort of Jerome, it's just that I think Dave sort of feels like Timo, whether he comes good or not, it just sort of, the type of signing he was maybe represents a certain ambition that Dave wasn't exactly expecting. Maybe Dave just expected that Spurs would be going after just slightly more than someone like Timo, who maybe was more of an opportunistic signing for Spurs and just a body through the door, kind of like Jason Bell was sort of suggesting earlier. But like you're sort of saying, in the actual game of Man City, was he in any way one of the worst players on the pitch? Definitely not. And weirdly enough, was sort of doing some right things and doing the things that you would expect the left winger to do. Just wasn't being kind of a, complimented for it, or wasn't really being, shown that sort of faith by the rest of his teammates when he did make those runs. Because plenty of them, he was also well onside, and like was even keeping himself onside, waiting for it to be played, and still wasn't played, which I think can be frustrating.
And you know what? Last thing I'm going to say on that as well, add to that, Jerome and Jacko, is I get Timo Werner's only new to the club. I don't care how long you're at a football club or in any sport sort of circle. I walk into that dressing room and I have a go at them guys. I make sure they know I've made them runs, and you bloody feed me that ball next time. This is not acceptable to ignore me like that. If he hasn't done that, expect it to continue. Expect it to continue. So it's up to him now, what he wants to do, because at some point you have to stick up for yourself. You have to go in and say, guys, I gave you the outlet. You didn't want to use it. Use me next time. So we'll wait and see what he's done in that regard. Orox Beats says, go back for Nusa. He'll easily be better than BJ. Look, for me, I'm one of them. Orox Beats, I think if you're good enough, you're old enough. I don't subscribe to this, or you're 18, or you're 21, you're too young. Football, you've got about 12 years at the top. So 18 is where you really want to be showing what sort of level you're at personally. But look, for me, I also of that belief. I think NUSA would be better than Brennan Johnson personally. Look, I think there's too many excuses made for Brennan Johnson, and I don't think other players that are the same age. You don't have to make excuses for them. Van de Ven or Gill doesn't get that leeway. For me, I'm just one of them. You're either good enough or you're not. I'm not one of them. Oh, he's good at this, we need to feed that. No, a good player like Son, like Kane, can go in behind, can hold up the ball, can drop deep to get on it, can make stuff happen, and can finish. With Werner and Johnson, we've pigeoned ourselves into play them in behind, and that's all we can do with them. It's all you can do. You can't do the link-up play, can't do 1-2s, can't get them to swing the ball in. So we've sort of limited our options going forward in that regard, and that's the whole reason. Johnson, one of the reasons is why we had to move Son out to left in the first place, so that fucker couldn't cross the ball, couldn't supply Sonny. So it's just all knock-on effects. My man, but big yourself up. Will we revisit the NUSA deal? Sadly, I think it's dead and buried on that one, lad. To be honest with you, Orox speech, but really appreciate the support, my man. And then we also have Jerome says, I agree with you, Jack. Werner is definitely better than Johnson. BJ has been so frustrating lately. I don't understand why he's so scared to take on players.
It's not even that. Like, I agree that he doesn't really take on his man maybe nearly enough in sort of the one-on-ones. But where my frustration with Brennan Johnson actually comes from more, Jerome, is that, yes, like if we're going to say give him time, be patient with him, then let's sort of go down to the bare minimums, right? Is he doing the bare minimum, which is he working hard off the ball? Is he helping out his teammates defensively? Is he being a focal point in the press? I'd say he isn't. And there are times when I find him either kind of slacking or lacking off, in sort of the defensive end. And also he just seems to not have that sort of willingness to put in a challenge, to get stuck in to help out
Mm.
Pedro Porro and other players in that team when we need somebody to be brave to, put their foot in or sort of stop at a counterattack. Because lots of times with Spurs too, we play such a risky version of a style of play that you kind of need that guy to be strong in the challenge, to sort of stand up to some of these sort of counterattacks or whatever moments that maybe the opposition might have that could cause us problems when we're caught maybe a bit on the back foot. And I just don't see it enough from Brennan Johnson, sort of that willingness to get stuck in, that willingness to help out his teammates in that regard. And that actually is what gets me the more angry, just because me personally, Dave, not being a very good footballer myself, I sort of feel like that's kind of the bare minimum. Like, you kind of do have to work hard off the ball if you're not playing well, if you're not at your full capacity, or if you're not full of confidence. At least show some effort off of the ball and at least show that you can be a willing member in that sort of frontline press. And I'm just not seeing enough from Brennan Johnson in that regard. That's where I get more frustrated. I feel like hopefully the end product and the finishing product and sort of his output will get better and will improve. But I feel like the part that needs to improve like tomorrow straight away is sort of that willingness to work hard off of the ball, that willingness to be part of the press. Because sometimes the press actually gets let down by actually his sort of just lack of willingness, it seems, to just get stuck in and be part of that sort of front three. And you couldn't say that with Richarlison, couldn't say that with Sonny this season. They've probably been the hardest workers off the ball in that front three. And I wish Brennan Johnson, I could say the same. That's where I get more frustrated with him personally, because I think that's a bare minimum.
I completely agree. You don't want to be, look, when it doesn't really matter what level you're at. The last thing anyone wants to do, and you can apply this to anything in life, you don't want to be a liability to everybody else around you, right? Everyone else that is depending on you, that needs you. You don't want to be a liability. So the minimum requirement, especially in what you're talking about, Jack, is hard work. It's the minimum.
Yeah, that's the word.
Everyone can have an off day in terms of your touch, your crossing, and stuff like that. Everyone can have that off day, but at least make up for it by not being a complete liability, and at least work hard for the rest of the guys. Go, okay, I'm slacking here, but I'm going to make up here. He seems like he doesn't want to do that. And in fact, I think he was just looking at over at the bench every time the substitute board came up, saying, "Please say it's my number. Please say it's my number. Get me out of here." And I can't have players like that. If you want to win titles, you want to win trophies, you can't have players like that. It's that simple. Look, the guy's gonna have time. I'm not gonna get on his case. I'm gonna give him time. But one thing I won't do is shy away from critiquing where I think he needs to improve to help this football club. And that's for sure. You don't get better without being criticised. It's that simple. Anyway, big up, Jerome. Really appreciate the support.
To see you in the house.
Good to see you in the house. I'm glad to see you agree with Jack on the Timo Werner. Maybe I am being a slight bit harsh, but that was just because of my stance on it when we initially signed him, I suppose, my man. But big up, Jerome. Really do appreciate the support. Yeah, exactly. Hopefully you and the family are surviving summer out there. But look, we are down to the last two guests of the evening, and then your boy needs to go and edit the video for tomorrow morning. So make sure if you do slack off between now and then, you are up and checking that out tomorrow. But look, let's get on. One of the last two guests. Who is it?
Tyler, and then Ribsy and Mia. Unfortunately, I think she tried to stay up, but she's starting to. I think she's texted me saying she's a bit sleepy, so she'll have to grill me next time on the Hojbjerg stats. And then, of course, I think the only other one left, I believe, was Jose, but I think he's dropped out as well. So at the moment, only Tyler and Ribsy left.
Grand. Well, we'll finish off with these two. So who's first? Tyler? Big T?
Tyler. Yeah, Big T.
Let's get him on. Now I can hear you. I'm just going to turn off my camera so I can fill up my bottle or glass with drink. But Big T, how are you keeping, my man?
Doing good, Dave. Doing good.
What kid is that?
After the weekend?
Sorry. I interrupted, Dave. What kid is that, by the way, that you're wearing?
It's Columbia.
Oh, very nice. Colombian generation, I think, coming through. Golden generation. What are your kind of thoughts on sort of maybe another trophyless season for Spurs, Tyler? Are you really down about it? Kind of expecting it? How do you feel kind of after this weekend? Like it's obviously another missed opportunity, really.
Yeah, I mean, going into the season with a new manager, you can't really expect too much. But after that start, I thought for sure we'd at least have a decent cup run, maybe. Although I guess we were already out of the Carabao Cup by then. After during that 10 win or the 10 whatever the streak in the beginning of the season, were we already out of the cup by then, the Carabao Cup?
Carabao Cup was the Fulham game, which seems to kind of be put on edge right now, right? That both cup exits were kind of underwhelming for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, the Fulham one obviously is a lot more disappointing. City, uh, you expect them to dominate wherever they go, whatever stadium they're going to. They're probably the best team in the world. So, but to be dominated 18 shots to one, it's completely unacceptable at our stadium. I mean, I don't know how we can't put together enough attacks to at least get some shots on goal against a backup goalkeeper. I was so disappointed in that. Defensively, we kept him out pretty well, but I mean, to get one shot then in the entire game, that's a disgrace.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what? That's my biggest frustration. Defense stood up to the task immaculately well, but one shot, and especially since it's the backup keeper, you're
Yeah.
screaming out, Porro, someone like Porro, who can deliver that moment. Kulu, test him. We didn't test him. But Tyler, it goes back to points people have been making all season. It's like at times we're trying to walk the ball into the net.
Yeah. And it's really the annoying part is, this entire time we've had Kane and Son in the attack. I mean, although we have scored goals this season, don't get me wrong, we scored a great amount of goals. But now our attack is looking the weakest and our defense is strong, I think we have our defense set up pretty perfectly right now, especially bringing Dragusin to have some depth if we do have some injuries. Would like a little bit better fullback depth, but defensively I think we're set up really well right now. And I was saying before the game that I was a little bit disappointed that Ederson wasn't playing because he always looks like crap against us. He always
I laughed
is
at
in
that.
for a mistake. But still, I mean, you got to get some shots off on the backup goalkeeper.
Do you know what? Ortega surprised me how good he was with his feet, to be honest with you. I was
They're
like,
good.
press the fucker, he'll make a mistake. Usually, but you're right. When you were saying that during the watch along and Jack was calling it out, I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
Ederson would at least give us one opportunity. Ortega gave us nothing. He's absolutely mean in that regard. Tyler, Zinedine Spurs come out today about the guy. I haven't really had much of a conversation about him yet. He is looking, he's going to be here until the summer at the very least. What's your thoughts on the whole situation? And then off the back of that, with him staying, does it look like our window's finished?
Yeah, let's talk about his performance first of all. He started shaky. Then pretty much the rest of the game up until about 10 minutes left, he was almost perfect. He was probably one of our best on the pitch at least. I think he had a really good game. And then those two mistakes at the end, I mean, he's been doing this all season. He's given up these chances. I mean, giving the ball away like so stupidly. I mean, that was unacceptable. I don't care how tired you are. If you can't hold the ball and get rid of it quick, just boot it up the field at that point. I mean, he's costing us losing possession in so many different areas, and De Bruyne should have put that away. Obviously, I mean, as soon as that shot went off, I think everyone in the stadium, everyone watching, thought for sure that was in the back of the net. I don't know how he missed that. I don't know.
I was already berating him before he struck it because it's just De Bruyne. You expect it to hit the back of the net.
Maybe the hair got in his eyes.
But no, I think Hojbjerg, does need to go, but. Obviously I wanted him, Skip, or Lascelles, so at least one of them to go, if not two, so we could bring in a new midfielder, because I think we definitely need some better players in that position. Obviously, Bentancur, Sarr, Basuma, Madison are four strong players that we have. But with the injuries and them missing so much time, we definitely need to bring in another strong player. Preferably me. I really want a better defensive midfielder because we've seen Basuma has been very inconsistent, and I want a more strong defensive midfielder that also can, move the ball quickly and pass it well. But I definitely want a more defensive midfielder.
Can I push back on that slightly, Tyler? Because I'm confused then where Bentancur or Basuma then would play. What do you think their better position is if you were to sign another defensive midfielder? And then we already have Skip in the team too. And
Skip is shit. Sorry.
That's a good answer there. But let's keep it to Basuma and Bentancur because that was a good answer. But with Basuma and Bentancur, what do you think their better position is? Because I feel like they are mostly number sixes. I think Basuma isn't exactly a number 8, despite him wearing that number. And with Bentancur, I'd also say he might be a little bit better in the number 6 than he is in the number 8. I think he'll play just fine and actually probably would be great in the number 8, but I still think he's slightly more suited for the deeper role.
Yeah, I mean, both of them can play the six at a pretty high level, but neither of them are like, you know, I don't think neither of them are that good at, getting strong into a tackle and, what Skip used to do, like when he first came back from Norwich, and like that's kind of like the type of defensive midfielder that I want, that's gonna, run their ass off and, be strong into a tackle and, help the back line, on the counterattacks. But obviously, yeah, both of them can play the six well as well. And then Star's an incredible eight for the future. I hope at some point, if we're not winning, he's gone within the next 2 seasons. If we can't pull something together soon, I mean that I think he's incredible. Him and Adogi will be out of here, as well as Van de Ven, if we can't start putting wins together within the next like 2 seasons, probably 2 to 3 seasons. They're still young though, so I mean. I don't think they're ready to get out of here just yet. Obviously, I think we do have a decent window at least with them. So we got to just keep on building. Hopefully, Ange keeps getting backed, and we get some better midfielders and attackers in. Because I mean that attack, I just can't. Obviously, without Sonny, let's. Obviously, I love Sonny. I think he's a tremendous player, but he's getting old in age. He's getting old, so we need to get some world class or at least like solid attackers in that are already established. And to go back to the City game, if you just look at the two teams, right, and their pressing, I mean their pressing is 100 times better than what our pressing
Yeah,
was. I mean, we
yeah,
did nothing. I mean, Richarlison at times, like he is such like you can never fault his work rate in his press. I mean, he's just running the pitch. He's trying to force them into something, and you see Brennan Johnson just friggin' walking. I wonder. Oh, I was
yeah.
so upset. And Werner presses, but I don't know, it seems like his press doesn't like I don't know.
It's half-hearted.
Yeah. So I mean, that's one thing you can just not fault Richarlison for. Like, yeah, I mean, he didn't do anything, like, let's say, in the attack at all, but he, barely got the ball. He was just like, couple times an out ball to him. He had to, like, hold up. And Ruben Diaz was the entire game, whether it was on him, he was like assaulting all our players. I don't know how he can get away with it. I was every single corner, literally every single corner. I was saying in the chat, look what he's doing to Vicari. I mean, he was like sexually assaulting Vicari the
Yeah.
entire friggin' match. I was literally blowing my mind, and the fact that that's how they scored in the end, you have no idea, guy. I was so gone. And which the annoying part was, in that last one was probably the least amount of contact he put Vicario on the
Yeah.
entire time. So, like, I knew they weren't going to call it back as soon as I saw the replay. But the entire game, I mean, he was assaulting Vicario in that net. How we didn't get a defender or someone to at least tell the ref or something? Come on, step up. Use your head, guys. Go to the ref and say, look what he's doing to Vicario on these corners. He's putting a body on him. He's putting his hands on him. He's shoving him around. Like, come on. Someone's got to say something, or at least our defender needs to go over there and put his body on Diaz and get him the hell away from Vicario. I mean, I
Do
was
you know
just really
what?
disappointed.
I think you make a great point there, and it's something that City targeted. You go and watch every delivery, they're straight whipped in on top of a carry on top of the 6-yard
every
box.
time.
And you're right, Ruben Diaz was at him every single time, and not one Spurs player went to deal with it, and
No
not
one.
one Spurs player went to the referee.
It was
And I
cowardly.
feel if one of them went to deal with it, or a player brought it to the attention, you probably get that decision going your way then when they did actually eventually benefit from it because they were alerted to it. And I think that's little bits and pieces where we do need to be smart, where, go and alert the referee to things. Chelsea under Jose Mourinho, they were always at the referee, always coming to the referee, pointing out things and stuff. And they ended up getting all the decisions. Sir Alex Ferguson, Man United, the same thing. It's just about being streetwise. And look, even if you don't want to be a tattletale and go and speak to the referee, which I can understand if you don't, because they're useless, then go and sort it out yourself. Have a bit of pride about you, and it just like these are the little things where we don't help ourselves. You're absolutely spot on. It was winding me up all game as well.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. It's not like we didn't deserve to go through. Let's be real. I mean, 18-1, just that alone. I mean, if you don't even shoot, you can't score. So how can you possibly win the game? Obviously, it was disappointing in the end. Like we should have at least held that clean sheet and had the replay. Not that it probably would have benefited us too much, but you never know. You never know in football. We could go there and play a much better game, and we could have ended up nicking the result. You never know.
You never know. You never know. Let's look. It's one of them. I just hope now on the Ranch Postecoglou, because these games will be back again. I just hope we learn lessons from this one and sort of employ them in our game going forward. But look, Tyler, not long left in the transfer window. Do you think there's any signings in here before the deadline is over?
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, I don't see anything happening. I hope we do, but I don't want us to panic buy another Brennan Johnson or Richarlison or spend over $100 million on on these Premier League players that really they weren't even like stars or any like at least like kind of Basuma and Hojbjerg made sense taking from Premier League teams. They're solid midfielders on their team. Like Brennan Johnson has never impressed me. I've never watched him, whether it was for Wales or Nottingham Forest, and been like, ooh, yeah, he could be a player that we could go for, and I think he could help us out. Never once did I think that. Honestly, same for Richarlison, but I don't like Richarlison's effort alone. Like, it's just the price tag I think that really throws everyone off. Like if we had bought Richarlison, let's say for 15-20 million, I don't think we would see the negativity that we are. Although him being the striker that's replacing Kane right now, that doesn't help at all, obviously. But I was disappointed we didn't end up going through with the NUSA deal, because it's like, at least him, you can see the potential in him. He's got that really good dribbling ability as well to take on a man, which none of our wingers do for some reason. So I was excited with that prospect of it. Not that I think it's like a guarantee that he's going to be the star. Like obviously it's a risky buy, 30 million for an 18-year-old that's only been pretty decent in Belgium. It's not like he's like got 20 goals and 10 assists or something. But to see Brentford go ahead and take the risk instead of us is a little disappointing.
Well, according to reports this evening, that deal's collapsing as well. So it looks like Brentford ain't getting him either.
Well, who knows? But I do want us to go, what you guys have been saying with this marquee signing, going for guys that they're already proven. Like obviously the Kimmich rumors, I don't think there's a chance in hell that could possibly happen. But
that would be your defensive midfielder that you want.
He's one of the best players in the world. I've always loved him. When he was first breaking in with Germany and like scoring goals from midfield and right back, I thought he was a fantastic player. I've always loved him. So if somehow, some way, I mean, it doesn't make any sense for him to come here. I don't know why he would ever do that, but if we somehow convince him, that would be the greatest. That might be one of our greatest signings ever, to get a midfielder like him in. So
I'd love it. You have no idea how much I'd love it. Doesn't solve my issue up front. Still gives me a headache there, but I just love a marquee signing. I'd absolutely love it. But Tyler, anything else you want to talk about before we let you go, my man?
No, I think it pretty much covered everything. We have Brentford up next, right?
Yeah, Wednesday.
Yeah. So excited for that match. I was disappointed that Brian Hill didn't even touch the pitch. I do think we should move on from at this point anyway. So I guess if we're trying to push him out the door, it makes sense that Ange doesn't want to play him, but clearly the kid said that he wanted to stay and try to fight. So I don't know how he couldn't at least get on the pitch for that game. I mean, Johnson did nothing, and Werner, to be fair, did actually look promising a couple times, and he didn't get the ball in some of those runs. But also early in the game when he did get the ball, he was too scared to take on his man as well. He was passing back every time he got it. So we just need some better winger play, and hopefully that big striker signing comes in the summer as well.
Oh, you've no idea how much I'd love that to happen and be banging on about it for the last, 4 or 5 months, Tyler. So, Dusan Vlahovic, and Evan Ferguson,
We could have tried to steal Taremi from Inter for free, for free in the summer.
Too old. I'm an ageist.
I don't care. I don't care if he's 40. He's 10 times better than anything else we got right now. He's a proven player. You see what he's doing for Iran right now. I think they have a really good chance to win the Asian Cup. I've got money on them to win. So Let's see what happens.
We'll see what happens. Look, I suppose beggars can't be choosers. I probably would take him now, to be brutally honest with you, after watching us the last few weeks going forward. Tyler, big yourself up, my man. Great chat as always, and really appreciate you coming into We Are Talking TV earlier on and backing up my point in the comments as well. I don't think I made it clearly, but you understood it, so I appreciate that, my man.
You know I got you.
Good
I
man,
know,
Tyler.
I
Good
know.
man, Tyler.
Big up, Tyler, and hopefully we see Kefran Turam in here in the summer, eh?
Exactly. You know who we want. Hopefully that happens.
Yeah.
We'll
Good man.
see.
All right.
Well,
Have a good
big
rest
up,
of your week, Tyler. Thanks for
Yeah.
thanks for calling in.
Have
See
a
you
good
soon,
one,
my
guys.
man.
Thanks for having me on. Come on, you Spurs.
Always.
Come on,
Great
you
call as always,
Spurs.
Tyler. Come on, you Spurs.
Yeah,
See you,
great
my man.
call. Great call. Everybody, please do big up Tyler in the chat. I've actually great time for him. I think he's a very, very nice guy. And always enjoy the conversations that we have. We sometimes, we even text each other late at night with our transfer ideas and stuff like that. So everyone, big him up in the chat. Tron with the super sticker. What's he delivering us? What's he doing now?
This one was used, I think it was like DJ Samuel or someone who used this one in the pre-match buildup. It's a critical hit used once again, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
This one. And Dermatron feels like we need a critical hit sometime soon, against a team. And I guess Brentford are the upcoming side that hopefully we can deliver multiple critical hits to that can end up being all 3 points for us. And it's just, it's one of those, Dermot, where I could really have used that critical hit against Man City. Whoever had sent in that super sticker last time in the pre-match buildup, I really spun that into maybe, a big, long distance strike or something like that, critical hit type goal. And we could have really used that against Man City. So I guess we'll just save it up for Brentford instead. Appreciate you, Tron.
Sounds like an injection I needed after the Man City game to inject some life and enthusiasm back into me, Dermotron, the critical hit. But big yourself up, my man. Really appreciate the support. And look, hopefully we get that critical hit by the end of the transfer window as well. That'd be nice.
Very nice.
Also, big up Marky Boy, Mark Army, nice and strong, always in here represented. That's one thing I'll give them. If one Mark isn't in here, the other one is in here. Must have a secret group chat where they take it in turns. If you do, let me know, because then I need to get on and set one up with all the Daves, and Jack needs to set one up with all the Jackals as well. But big yourself up, Mark. Good to see you in the
Mark.
building.
Good to see you.
Great to see the Mark Army being represented. I swear they do that though, one at a time, Right, your turn today. Also, Orox Beats, great to see you. He says 45 million plus skip for Eze, but Eze left wing and Werner right wing. Look, I'll be brutally honest. When I look at the likes of Eze and what's the other guy, Elise, I really like him. Actually, really like. Controversial. I prefer Elise over Eze, but I think they're both extremely, very, very talented players. However, I look at them a bit like James Maddison. Spurs are waiting for Palace to go down to pounds personally. While they're in the Premier League, we will not put the money up that it requires to get them.
Eze is somebody who I could probably look at my Twitter timeline and look at sort of tweets I've made in a long time ago. And I'd say I was quite early on the Eze train. He was somebody that had kind of really had excited me when they originally had bought him from QPR, because I heard a lot of really good things about him. And I think they'd only signed him for around like 15 million or something. And he's all of a sudden, clearly shown to be one of their best players, if not their best player in that team. He's in more of the creative mold for me than he really is like a true goal scorer, Eberechi Eze. But what is absolutely consistent about him is that guy is one of the best dribblers, I personally think, in the Premier League. Like, he is unbelievable ball carrier and really just has this close control and sort of this ability to just always receive it on the half turn, know how to be positive when receiving it, more than most other players, I think, in the Premier League. He really is just a joy to watch. Makes it look really easy at times as well, type of player. Just makes the game look pretty easy with how good he is on the ball. Is he a real goal scorer, though? Maybe not. That's where I'd have a slight concern about him. I kind of consider him to be more of a creative winger, creative midfield type of player. But don't get me wrong. Like, he's actually, just in general, one of my favorite players to watch, actually, in the Premier League. He's just a beautiful, silky, silky, silky kid. But is he exactly what we need right now? I'm not so sure, despite how much I love him. But believe me, I would actually not say no to him at all. Don't get me wrong. Would not say no, and would be much better than maybe what we have on the left wing. But is he really the goal scorer that some might say that we need? I'm not sure on that one. He's more of a creative type player. But believe me, like I'm curious to look back at my Twitter how long I've been in love with that guy, because it's been for a few years now.
Do you know, I'll actually give you credit. Your young talent idea is actually exceptional. I think, the Don needs to maybe hit you up, Jack, and get you
I
involved
like
in
the
that
silky
scouting
ones.
department.
Yeah, him and Kavicha, I think, were sort of two guys that after one season, I was sort of like, these guys are some of the best dribblers I've ever seen, in a long time. And I think Eze is one of them. That's just his main attribute for me, is just his dribbling is just unmatched sometimes. He really is just beautiful to watch.
And you were also right on Alvarez as well. I've changed my opinion since then. So you were right on him as well. It turns out he's not the new Eric Lamela. He's actually better than that. But big up Ellie as well. Great to see you. Hopefully you're keeping well. Not long till we get that Curry, North London Derby. Make sure you're ready, Ellie. But that does bring us on to the last
closer
guest of the evening. And unfortunately, as much as we love sticking around here talking to all of you guys, it has to be the last guest of the evening because I still need dinner, still need to do a video on it. And also, Jacko has dinner as well. So we will end off with Ribsy, and I'd say not a bad person to close either. Let's get him on and hear what he has to say. Ribsy, how are you? Are you downloading the app and getting your torch ready for Wednesday?
Ribsy. Yes, we had one of those mic problems again, Ribsy. I think that we might have had last time. I remember this from last time. I remember this.
We'll give you 2 seconds, Ribsy. No problem. We'll give you a minute or so. See if you want to get that.
Sort of like sounds like a hurricane, like outside is, like sort of like
sounds like he's on top of the mountain.
Sounds like he's on a mountain or in a storm of some sort. I think it's the exact same problem that we ran into last time, Ribsy. So surely it can be resolved. I still hear it.
Still there, Ribsy.
Maybe just give you a few more, just like a minute, maybe, Ribsy.
No,
we'll
give you a minute, my man.
Yeah, because he fixed it last time. You fixed it last time, Ribsy, and it's just the exact same thing. I think I remember from last time.
Yeah, no, he's been kind to wait in the background for a while to have he said, we'll wait for you, Ribsy. We'll give you another minute or so, see if you can get it sorted out, lad. Although you might have to get Jackson cotton wool buds. I think you burst his eardrums.
Yeah, maybe with the headphones a little bit harder. Probably nicer if I did have headphones in that situation. Yeah, my eyes probably. But maybe we'll just ask Dave to make him. He's on mute. Hello?
Speak. I can't hear you now, though.
No, well, I mean, it's improvement.
I can see you. I can barely hear you. You're very, very, very low.
Yeah, very muted. Or mudded or whatever it is.
If not, why don't you try and log out and log back in on your phone?
Or refresh the link. I feel like I also sort of hear a slight echo kind of as well, so
we can work with that. I can mute myself.
We can work with that. The other one, maybe we can't.
We'll give him another minute anyway. We'll take him off screen and give him another minute there. But people, don't worry about that. We're going to work with Ribsy and we'll try and get him on.
What's for dinner, Dave, so I can make you hungry and torture you further?
Shepherd's pie. So I don't know if people know what shepherd's pie is or not. So basically, it's just basic.
Yeah.
If you've got mince and you've got spuds and a couple of carrots knocking around, a few onions. So basically, you cook your mince, put your carrots and your onions in there, whack it into a nice little sort of pan, and then you put your mash over it and then put it in the oven.
I like it.
Let that fester for a while. Take it out, plate it up, bit of brown sauce over it. It has to be chef brown sauce, very specific. And Bob's your Uncle Jack. On cold nights like this, it's perfect. What are you having?
Well, can I ask this question? You put brown sauce on it. Would it be sacrilege to put like a bit of hot sauce with the shepherd's pie, or is that kind of a no-go? Is that against the rules?
Personally,
like a little sriracha or a little Tabasco or something like that. Could you do something like that on it, or is that against the rules?
I suppose you could, but then you're more turning it into sort of veering it more towards the Mexican side of things. Then, aren't you? Really,
that's my goal.
Yeah. Like with mine's more about it's not about the spice or that stuff like that. You can do it, but mine's just about keeping me warm in the winter, Jack.
Well, Ribsy, I think we wanted you to try it again. Please, if you want to try it one more time, feel free. But if we can't get you this time, like kind of Dave said with Donovision, we would love to have you on for a pre-match build-up or something like that.
You've done on Wednesday if you're available, 4 p.m. our time. I know that's a bit awkward for you. If not, Saturday morning, let me know.
Yeah, one of those, please, Ribsy, because I've enjoyed our pre-match build-up chats in the past, and I like chatting with you, Ribsy. So I hope that you didn't wait up all this time, just to not be able to speak, because that definitely sucks as well.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you've given up on it though, but I would love to be able to speak to you sometime this week. I
Mm.
hope you have a much better week than maybe you did last week, or maybe, everything outside of football is going well for you. Hopefully the summer's going all right for you, Ribsy, but I guess maybe we didn't get to have our closer on for this time, because
you know
he
what?
has been the closer usually.
Yeah, and you know what? I feel a bit annoyed for him, because it's sort of like, he waited patiently in the back end. We always love speaking to Ribsy, and then, it doesn't get to happen. But Ribsy, please let us know. Do you want to do a pre-match build-up Wednesday or Saturday? Just drop me a message on Twitter, and we'll sort something out for you. And hopefully we'll get that sorted out for next time as well, my man. Big yourself up. Yeah, and Tyler said American I was trying to mess with something, Jack. See, some people saying ketchup, Swim Master. Ketchup's not a bad idea. You can't do that. Do you know what, though, Tyler? You say that, but the American cuisine, like what you've got on offer over there, is so much more of a variety than what we have on offer over here. So it's sort of like it pays to mess with things, right? So you get the best of everything. Over here, we're sort of limited to what we can and can't get, really, in that regard. So yeah. Oh, some people do know what shepherd's pie is. Okay, brilliant.
Yeah, no, we definitely have it over here. It's probably not as regular of a meal. It's probably more of like an occasion type, not like special occasion, just more kind of random that maybe you would have something like that sort of in the US. Not as common maybe to find or, sort of always eat, but definitely have had it before. And Shawn, he's saying he's listening to brown sauce with the shepherd's pie all day. So no hot sauce for you then, Shawn. That's a disappointment.
Has to be chef though, Shawn. You'd agree, right? Chef sauce is the only brown sauce. Don't bother with what's the other ones out there? I think you go to deals, it's called Daddy's brown sauce. That's a bit weird name, but no, there wouldn't be on that. HP, it's okay. Chef is where it's at though, Shawnee. I think you'll agree with that, my man. Also, brown sauce goes with everything. Whack it on a sandwich, brilliant. Jack, do you have brown sauce over there?
Yeah, we do. It's just, I feel like we have a different sort of understanding of it, or it's not, again, as commonplace as it usually might be, but as it is for you. But we do have Ribsy. We're going to try it one last time. Let's see.
Let's see if it's working. Oi.
Oh, nope.
No.
Nope. All right.
No.
Sorry, Ribsy.
No.
Maybe it's not going to work out tonight. Yeah, because that is a little hard on the eardrums, I must be honest. Ribsy, if you can obviously hear me, but Ribsy, let's try to get you on for a pre-match build-up, my friend. Let's try to get you on for a pre-match build-up. Chef's brown sauce. I guess we're going to wrap up on brown sauce talk, and then we'll leave it there.
Shawn, that's the one, my man. Surely you've seen that in Tesco's. Do you know what? They might not do it in Rachel's where you shop on that, Shawnee, but when you go to Tesco's or somewhere where the common folk shop, you'll definitely get the Chef brown sauce, my man. It's absolutely unbelievable. But I suppose it's never a dull day at the Irish Hotspur. We love talking about football, but ever so often food creeps in, because me, I'm a big boy and I like my food. And Jack is also a connoisseur of cuisine around the world. So
Indeed.
You do get it combined with that talk. But thank you to everybody for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. Another marathon show and a big week this week, guys. So don't go anywhere. Plenty of content coming your way. 9 a.m. in the morning. I'll drop the report on the Academy on how they're getting on. And then we also have channel predictions coming out in and around 2 p.m. Depends if some of them lazy people decided to get the video sent over tonight or not. And then, I'm doing a watch along for the under-21s who are in cup action. So come and join me for that. And if there's any transfer news, now anything major, I'm not just going to go off, the slight bit of news. If there's anything major progressing, I'll also go live for that or do something for that. But guys, that's it from me. Jack, anything you want to say?
No. Fantastic work. Thanks to everybody for calling in. Plenty of guests. We're getting so many guests on these fan shows. And I think now we're just going to have to, which I think we did successfully tonight. We got through a lot of you guys efficiently, but still got some nice, good, lengthy chats out of it. So hopefully everybody enjoyed the show. If you can't already, smash the like button on your way out. Feel free to grab a membership if you want to. Like maybe Davey Shire is just gifted here. Good to see you, Davey Shire. If anybody wants to come on next time and take advantage of a fan show membership, feel free to do so, because we love to chat to new people, love to have a nice debut as well. But plenty of people came on tonight, plenty of good regulars, all the good people. And also as well, thanks to anybody who supported the channel today. Davey Shire, of course, who gifted a membership to Bob Down Under. Bob Down Under, feel free to take advantage. Member of the Bob Army, come on and have your say next time, my friend.
We're going to see you, Davey.
Exactly right. Good question. Dermatron as well with the super stickers. Really do appreciate the support, my friend. DJ Samuel. Hopefully you as well are going to have a good rest of your week. I see that you got some bets lined up for the next day as well, DJ Samuel. So hopefully those go well for you. Welsh Gal celebrating 23 months. Thank you for your support. Kev Williams in the house as well. Thank you, Kev, for the support earlier. Orox Beats. Great comments as well. I know you and Dave are sort of on the same page on a lot of things as well. Sort of about the transfer window. Big up to Jason Bell. Big up to Jerome. Hopefully you and the family are keeping all right, Jerome. Like I said, handling the summer all right. And Bob Down Under, take advantage of David Shire's kindness and generosity. Big up to you, David Shire. Member of the David Army, which is probably the OG army. And of course, Mark Army's out there. Plenty of other good armies out there. But the David Army is probably one of the strongest and one of the biggest out there. So big up to you, Mr. Shire.
And Bob Down Under's returned the favor and shipped it on as well. Who's the lucky recipient?
Derek Smith back into the action. Derek Smith, Plymouth Argyle fan.
Yeah.
And I did watch your, just quickly, this may be my last words here. And big up Derek Smith. Big up Bob Down Under. Very kind of you, Bob. But Derek, I did watch that Plymouth Argyle game, and Dave did a great recap on the loan business and sort of the loan report. But I watched that game from pretty much, it was like minute 15 to minute 90. But I actually thought that he was pretty composed, just assured of himself. I kind of just had my eye pretty much focused on Phillips for the majority of the game and just thought his positioning was great. Yes, maybe like I could see how there could be some concerns over maybe maybe just lack of sort of consistency sometimes with his passing or in possession. But for the most part, he's actually very composed on the ball. It's not like he's making hospital passes or anything like that, on a regular basis. And he does have just sort of this coolness about him that I mean, this sounds like a silly comparison, but a Van Dijk always has that sort of like calmness and coolness about him where he kind of roams around to the back line. You get something similar with Ashley Phillips, where he just seems to be very assured of himself, knows how to put himself in the right area before the danger happens type of guy. And I was impressed with his performance. And also considering that Plymouth are kind of more further down the league in the championship, I actually thought for periods of that game, they were actually better than Leeds, far better than Leeds. And they actually looked like the more likely one to go on and win that game. And weren't they also playing away from home, if I'm not mistaken? They were playing at Ellen Road, and they actually looked like the better team for periods of that, which I say fair play to them and fair play to Ashley Phillips. But we didn't get the chance to see Alfie Devine in that game, which was a little sad, actually. I wish he got to come on.
Yeah, he was cup tied. It was really annoying. But look, he's took a step up to the championship at the end of the day. But, great breakdown by Jack. And if you want even further on that, guys, get over and check out the loan report if you have not. Just quickly, I see some people asking what brown sauce is. So think of ketchup. But how do you describe it? Probably a
barbecue ketchup sort of thing.
It's not, but it's not barbecue. It's like vinegary. It's lovely anyway.
A1 sauce is what we have over here. That could be maybe something similar. A1 sauce.
Oh no! When I see you next or you're next over in England, I'm going to bring a bottle of Chef for you, Jack. It's going to blow your mind. It's going to rock your world, and it's going to change your life. But guys, that's it from us. Plenty of content coming your way tomorrow. Thank you very much to everybody for tuning in and giving us your times. I feel like we're sort of getting back into our stride, gathering real momentum. Everyone getting back, having good times together, which is what it's all about. Stay safe, stay blessed. We'll see you all tomorrow. Come on, you Spurs. In the mighty hands we trust. We never stop. I'm Bob and Dave. I want to see you next week.
Come on, you Spurs. See you, everybody. Have a good one. In the big hands we trust, as always.